Hello, and welcome to TSTV, a show in which I, Sadie, guide my friend Lily through the wild world of Twin Peaks. Today we are talking about episode 15, also known as season 2, episode 8, also known as Drive with a Dead Girl. Lily, how's it going?
Well, to be honest with you, Sadie, I'm feeling a little betrayed.
Yeah? Tell me more.
I'm feeling like, oh my God. And I know you're so pleased with yourself for this. You lied to me.
In our notes, under how we've been in our show notes, I have a subheading that just says addressing the gaslighting incident, which I think it's time for us to do.
God damn it. You got me so good. Okay, here's what happened. Back in May of 2024, when we started recording this podcast, I already had a sense of who killed Laura Palmer. I thought I had just picked it up somewhere, and I told Sadie, I think it's her dad, right? And you just, motherfucker. Explain your thinking here.
I have the screenshots of our Discord exchange here. The first thing I said is that I said, tell me what you think you know about who killed Laura Palmer. And no matter what you say, I will respond with, how shrimperisting. And you said, I think it was her dad. Know that I'm very good at repressing my emotions and will successfully convince myself I have no such information. My womanly skills saved the day again. And I just said, how shrimperisting. And I believe the next day, or shortly after that, we were on call. And I was like, I was thinking about it. Now, here's the thing. At first, I was kind of hewing to the truth. And I was like, was it her dad? It's complicated. Kind of yes, kind of no. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, no, I want to gaslight Lily. And I was like, Lily, the answer is no. The dad did not kill Laura Palmer. Which I think there are people who would think that that is true. I'm really pulling from a certain point of view.
Oh my God. You always say you'd make a great lawyer. But even in the motherfuckerly tendencies.
I'm just realizing now I kind of pulled. Have you seen the old Star Wars, Lily?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
I kind of have verbatim pulled an Obi-Wan Kenobi on you of just
the Jedi mind tricks.
Well, no, and of being Killer Bob was a great spirit who killed he killed your father, and then last episode of Twin Peaks he goes, no, I am your father.
Man, so I'm doing terrible things for asking. No, you fucking got me. I'm sure it made me enjoy the show more.
But also, I really am impressed because you were not kidding about how much you could just make yourself forget about this. Because there were moments when we were talking about Leland, breaking into the hospital or whatever. There are moments even, I forget, on or off recording where I'd be like, so I don't know, Lily, what do you think of this? And I was expecting you to be like, well, we had that conversation. But I until I brought it up and pulled up these screenshots, am I correct in saying that you had really completely removed it from your memory?
Well, you know what I think it was? The first couple episodes just totally stripped any suspicion from my mind.
Yeah.
I just thought I must have misunderstood what the person told me. I probably knew that I had heard this, but I just thought I had misunderstood or something.
My favorite, I think, was there was a post that you had sent me that was on Twitter of Charlie and Grace Zabriskie and Ray Wise at some red carpet event all together smiling, and that had been posted with the caption nah, they acting like nothing happened. And you had sent that to me and I was just haha.
Oh my God.
Not saying anything else.
Oh shit, I had no idea of everything that implied. That's so funny.
Were you actively thinking about that conversation? I was I can't tell if Lily is actively thinking about this or if it just was cast into the woman's memory void. And if so, I wasn't going to say anything about it. But how close to the forefront of your mind was that conversation that we had 8 months ago now?
I think you'll see how little it was in my mind by how I kept ranking who killed Laura Palmer. And it kept not being anywhere. Leland kept not being anywhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Bob thing, it really seemed oh, this is settled. He is a rogue spirit or something. There was just so much evidence pointing me away from Leland. God damn. Yeah, no, I had fully moved on from that theory.
Well, it just goes to show that if you gaslight your friends, you can make anything happen.
Oh my God. imagining like the alternate version of this where I just like I was a little more headstrong and just at the end of every episode, my number one ranking spot
Was-
was Leland Palmer.
Because it's like, and also like, because I knew that it would not be a good show if you did know, but were pretending that you didn't, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, either
Wow.
we just be upfront that we both kind of know, or I successfully gaslight Lily, and I guess I did.
Dude, this is fucking crazy. I think of the show as like a pretty casual thing that the two of us do. And this just shows a lot of intentionality on your part. So, like, on some level, kudos.
Yeah, and actually, if you go back and listen to the first word that I say in each episode recap, there will be a key phrase that will activate your like Manchurian candidate
Oh my
training.
fucking God.
I feel like it's gonna be a lot of like Dale. Anyway, should I talk about
Yeah,
what
how
I've
are
been
you,
up to?
Sadie?
Yeah, because it's been a couple weeks since we recorded, just by virtue of life events, and I've been kind of playing and watching a lot of things that I'm just gonna kind of lightning round through them. I watched the
Yeah.
Utena movie with Maya. Great movie. Can't wait until we
Mm.
watch that one day. Oh, I watched The Wizard of Oz. We've talked about is like one of David Lynch's top favorite films.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I really see it. Also, those guys are so gay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I also watched Infernal Affairs.
Never heard of it.
It is a Hong Kong crime thriller movie. It's most known in the West, maybe unfairly, but for being the one that Martin Scorsese adapted into The Departed.
Oh.
Did you ever see The Departed?
No, I'm actually not that big on Scorsese, to be honest with you.
I've actually never seen that much of his either, but like, I always feel like I should sit down and watch more because I like the idea of Martin Scorsese. Like, I like when I see him say things, you know?
I love all the movies he champions. Like he's great
Yeah.
for film. I've watched most of his movies and go like, huh, that was pretty good. And I don't really get it beyond that. Anyway, Infernal Affairs.
So it's kind of like there's a member of like the Triad gang in Hong Kong who is like saying like, you have a clean record, you're new, no one knows about you, you're going to join the police force. And he joins the police force to be an informant. Meanwhile, there's a cop who has his life as a cop scraped from the records that he can become an undercover cop in this gang.
Oh.
And this is also just the plot of The Departed, but that's because it's
Okay.
an adaptation. But yeah, so it's kind of like, oh, neither of them knows who the rat in the other organization is, and they're both trying to find out. But in the act of finding out, they could reveal themselves, and it's this tense, frankly erotic
Ooh.
like dance of hidden identities and like, you know, the whole thing of like, okay, we're setting up a drug deal. I know that the cops know that it's happening, but because I'm in the cops and I'm an undercover, like I'm a rat, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so do I tell my boss to not do this drug deal? And how do I do it without the cops noticing? But if I tell my boss, then he'll know that there's a leak. The cops will know that they have a leak. And it's like, whoa, all that. It was really fun.
Oh. Wow, cool. That sounds really good.
And honestly, the reason why I put it down is because I like have not seen that much Hong Kong cinema in my life. I think honestly, I can only think in recent times of Chungking Express, which
Yeah.
is fucking great.
Very good movie.
But I think like a lot of like, you know, like Hong Kong thriller and action cinema, like I have a loose understanding of the genre, but have not really watched that much of it. But I was really struck while watching Infernal Affairs how often it would like set up this really like high stakes tension drama and then like dance between it being like melodrama but taking it seriously, and like melodrama but like camp and like for comedic effect. I was watching it
Oh.
with a friend who's like seen a lot of these and says like, yeah, like all Hong Kong movies are kind of a comedy also in disguise.
Oh, that's cool.
And it really reminded me of Twin Peaks. Like I was watching that with her and I was like, huh, maybe you would like Twin Peaks, because
Yeah.
that feels like that's exactly what Twin Peaks is doing with all of its drama all the time, right?
That's so interesting.
Like that's like to a T what how I felt about like the pilot, you know?
Totally, dude. Huh. Very cool.
Other big one, I've been playing 1,000 Times Resist. Have you started playing 1,000 Times Resist at all?
No, it's my treat for when I'm done this video. I really want to.
Okay, well, let me tell you, I won't say much about it, but it is fucking great. I've been doing a little book club about it where I've been meeting up some friends and doing like 3 chapters at a time, and it's fucking great. It's really excellent, and I think you're really going to like it.
I totally believe it. Yeah, I'm super hyped for it. I think I technically got spoiled by that one Jacob Geller video like a couple months ago, but I don't remember anything about
Oh.
it. I hope you trust me on that, given what happened at the top of this episode.
I didn't watch that Jacob Geller video, so don't tell me, I guess. But anyway, honestly, those are all my things. I just had a couple weeks of watching and playing stuff.
Nice.
What have you been up to?
I told you off air that I had a terrible hangover a couple days ago, and the one kind of nice thing I was able to do that day was watch the movie Certain Women by Kelly Reichardt. I think that's how you pronounce it. This was a fucking great movie, Sadie. It was so good. It's like a slow drama starring Laura Dern, for starters.
Oh, Queen.
As like a super stressed out lawyer who's kind of doing her best, but she kind of doesn't have the energy for all this, bullshit. It's with Michelle Williams, Kristen Stewart, and Lily Gladstone, who I have such a crush on and is just like stupendous in this movie. It is basically just about like these four women and their like barely overlapping lives in like rural Montana.
I see the Wikipedia tells me that it's adapted from 3 short stories from a short story collection. That's very fun.
Yeah.
That's a very fun like movie adaptation. I don't know that I can think of another one that's just like, here's some loosely collected short stories and we're just making a movie out of it. That's cool though. I like that.
I know, eh? Yeah. There is like a slight, almost incidental overlap, and it's just a very gorgeous movie. Very like a little impenetrable, like I'm gonna be turning it over in my head for a long time, but just like the feeling, like these vast sort of plains with mountains behind them, and the movie feels so like cold. You can really feel it like in your bones. These are, well, like I feel like unlikable female characters have been having a moment over the last while, and
having a moment in my heart forever.
This is one that is just not really concerned about like, are these women nice? It's just interested in other things about them. And yeah, it was great. Highly recommend. I'm gonna check out more of this director's work.
Oh, Kristen Stewart's in this too.
Yeah. She has like an ambiguous sort of maybe crush situation with Lily Gladstone, but it's just like awkward and stilted, and you feel like, oh, are you like using each other maybe? I don't know. It's awesome. I think there's exactly one song in the movie, and it is just like applied so perfectly, and I cried. It was great.
Man, I should check this out.
Yeah, it's on Criterion, and it is like a crisp hour and 40 or something.
Oh, love it. Did you ever see or did you ever read rather Casey Pletz? Any of her like short stories or novels or whatever? I think one novel, but do you know what I'm talking about? Trans woman writer, Canadian, has like 2 short story collections and a novel and some nonfiction stuff.
I've been curious to read her work for years and years, but no, I have not gotten around to it.
This feels very equivalent to her. Like I know her first collection, Safe Girl to Love, was kind of like one of my figuring out my transition while reading a book by a trans woman and being like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's me, fuck.
I was at Argo, the Anglo bookstore downtown, doing some like last minute Christmas shopping, again revealing how much of a delay we released these episodes on. And they had like all her books there, and I was so tempted, but I already have so many books that I own and have not read, so I'm holding off.
Anyway, I bet you she'd like this movie. It sounds like up her alley. It like cool. Everything you just said about it feels like how she does like short stories and characters and like
damn,
like has a very like out west sensibility.
Oh, cool. I fucking love short stories. Like maybe this is a good next read for me, but I can't. I have other things. Anyway, my other thing that I did recently was, oh man, this one's been sitting with me weird. Okay. For the last like basically for the entire duration of this year, since like exactly 1 year ago, I have been going to these screenings by an organization called 75 Shots. Have we talked about this?
I don't think so.
It is basically a filmmaking collective based here in Montreal, but with connections in like dozens of countries. The premise is basically like clandestine queer filmmaking in like countries where it is illegal to be gay, trans, etc. These are often just really wonderful events. The films generally can only be watched at these events because like they are not online for the safety of the filmmakers.
Man, I feel like I should know about this or go to this.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about it. It's
Yeah.
a really wonderful thing to be a part of. And every time I go to one of these, like every few months, it's always like a small crowd and I recognize all of them from the last one and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
very like tight-knit familial thing. So I was feeling just like very in awe at these films, and they always have these like great guest speakers. I spoke at one back in March, not to include myself in the great guest speakers list, but I had
I
this
would.
like
I think you're great. Anyways.
well, okay. 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 But I had this like weird interaction that left me feeling very conflicted. Basically, I was talking with a couple other, like 20 something local queer ladies, just like chatting it up, catching up. And I noticed there's like this older woman behind me. I'm like, "Oh, are you this assumption that I checked myself on immediately, like, "Oh, you must be someone's mom." We got to talking. She was like a lesbian who's been out since the 70s.
Slay.
Yeah. And we talked so much about like how things are going lately. I learned so much about her life. She was an organic farmer in the US for 20 years and then she moved back here
Whoa.
recently. I don't know, like interesting lady. But dude, then she tells me like because we're talking about how we're worried for our like friends and loved ones in the States. And she tells me like as long as I can still make it to Michigan, I'm okay. And I'm like, you know
Mm.
where this is going.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in Michigan. Well, the women's Michigan Women's Music Festival. Oh, I didn't realize that was still on. She said like, "Oh yeah, they stopped for a while, but it's back on now." I'm coming at this in totally good faith because this is like a very trans event and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, maybe they like are under new management or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
But she tells me, "Oh, you would love it at this
Oh my
festival.
god.
Like you should totally go. It's such a wonderful place to connect with people. I meet people from all over." And then I broached the topic, which, for those not in the know, the Michigan Women's Music Festival was like the site of sort of a groundswell of trans activism in the early 2000s because or maybe even earlier. I think maybe the 70s.
Well, I know. Oh, Camp Trans was sparked in the 1991 incident, says the
Okay,
Wikipedia
yes.
page. Because then there was like yeah, they did a couple in the 90s and then had a hiatus and came back in 99.
So basically what happened is like trans women were started to be kicked out of the festival because
Mm-hmm.
this was like a safe space for women, females. And then there was like counter programming that opened that was like Camp Trans that became similarly very important to the regional like trans community of so many like prominent trans like writers and community people. You'll hear them talk about their experiences there.
I have the Wikipedia page open, and they were saying they negotiated a short-lived compromise allowing only transgender women who had sex reassignment surgery on the festival land. At first, I read that as like you can only attend Mishfest if you've had bottom surgery at the location of Mishfest.
That's so funny. That's so fucking funny.
Your pussy must have been born here for you to
Here.
come here.
Oh, that's so good. Anyway, so yeah, we got into it and basically this is like an older woman who like has a pretty substantial amount of transphobic views, but was also like very friendly
Mm-hmm.
and like open to hearing what I had to say. A lot of it came back to like, oh, it's so sad that we're so divided. Like, it's good that we can have conversations like this. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, my sister in Christ, you don't want me in your spaces,
Mm-hmm.
like you you think it's good that I'm not allowed. I don't know. It left me feeling like, could I have done more to like, I don't know, express myself in a certain way. I mean, I don't know. This is a woman in her 70s. She's probably not going to be convinced by like a 10-minute conversation. But yeah, just like a weird thing at an event that, means a lot to me. And I don't regret that we met or anything. Food for thought, but it was weird.
And wait, how recently was this? Or was this like a while back?
2 weeks ago, week ago?
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funky.
Yeah. I mean, we had like a lengthy-ish conversation and
Yeah.
then she sat like behind me during the screening and then yeah, I don't know. I've been talking about it with friends and stuff, but I haven't brought it up to the management or anything. I mean, I'm like unsure whether it is something to make a thing about because I'm sure that like being at these events is a positive force in her life. And also, like, it's mostly, people who are like 20 to 50 there, and it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be that way.
My sense would be that I would not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think in terms of like actually like moderating a space, I think that's like, it's different if she was like, and you shouldn't be here, or like, you know what I mean, was
Yeah.
like doing actions in that kind of way. But not that I want you to be uncomfortable at that place, but I kind of feel like there's a degree of like, you have a queer space like that, you're just like, what it means to moderate a like quote unquote safe space. And I think it has a lot more to do with like what actions are people doing than like
Oh, yeah.
what people, and like what are they doing in that space specifically, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mostly just wanted to get it out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to write some more about it.
Yeah. Because we love
Yeah.
lesbians. Shout
We
out.
love
We are
lesbians, and we love-
lesbians.
Yeah, shout out. We love lesbians like in their 70s who used to be organic farmers. That's cool as shit.
Yeah. Kai Cheng Tom is a good friend of mine, and she loves to be on the like, I hope we choose love. I hope that J.K. Rowling heals her heart. And in that's the point where I'm like, Kai Cheng, you're a good friend of mine. I don't know if I think we need to stand and heal our heart with like J.K. Rowling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will with a 70-year-old lesbian at the queer film thing, you know what I mean? I think that's where I'm like, yeah. The whole like, we need to like connect, and like if you see someone's personhood, then they're going to see yours. Outside of when people are just here to be actively hateful and abusive, like I think that like is true on an interpersonal level, right? There's a big degree to which if you're like your aunt or lady at the queer film festival or whatever is kind of on some bullshit, I think there is a big degree to which like engaging with someone in a like compassionate and being like, here I am, I'm a person, you're a person. Like, I think that works on a one-to-one level. I kind of think where that doesn't work is when you try to apply it on a political level in terms of like, you know, like why is there a broad like anti-trans movement right now? Like, I think one person can find themselves like veered into that because of their surroundings and like ways that they've been hurt or whatever, you know what I mean? And I think that broadly that happens societally because of like economic and cultural forces and like class interests that like push for culture war bullshit and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I think when you try to handle that stuff with the like...
We just need to listen to each other.
Yeah, then it's like, well, sometimes people are coming to the room with, you know, guns and investment firms and you know what I mean? But yeah, how did you feel kind of walking out of it? Like, did you feel like it was overall a positive interaction with her? Like, I don't know. How did you feel?
It complicated my understanding of sort of where people like that are coming from, and it put a face to the thing, and she was clearly not someone who wished me any ill, you know, like.
And were you like, I'm trans, by the way, or were you just kind of like...
Yeah, I got candid with it, and then I sort of wondered whether I should have, but it's a space that I'm open in. I mean, I don't know. I'm someone who really loves to just like connect with some random person, like that is really important to me, and not just on like gender stuff, you know, just like I love to like strike up a conversation on the metro or whatever.
I always think about that story in like the first couple episodes of the show that you told me about the guy who like stopped you in the park to talk to you about how he was intersex.
Oh yeah. I think about that that person every time I pass by the park.
Yeah.
Hope we run into each other again. I ate the bean they gave me.
Hell yeah.
You'll have to go back and listen for context. Yeah, I don't know. Like it feels, I'm just demoralized lately at like, you know, if we keep putting ourselves out there, it feels like an optimistic act. It feels like an act of hope. And I just like, part of me right now just wants to be like, actually, the world doesn't like deserve access to me. And I know that's not the answer, but it's a very real urge.
I mean, I feel that way often. And I think that's also why I don't, you know, I don't YouTube for a living, frankly, because that is like a feeling that I feel very strongly. Even like I had my little book of poetry and I was very like, even I'm sure I may have bitched about this on the cast before, but like I get so pissed off when people are like, I can really feel your pain in your poems. And I'm like, first of all, this is a sonnet. This is a villanelle. I read a sestina. Sure, it's good that you can feel a thing, but you don't know that that's me. And also, let's talk about the hashtag craft that I put into this, because I put a lot of work into that. And that's just kind of women's art central. But
that's real. This is what bothers me about like the Have you heard like the whole like hashtag own voices thing
Yeah,
in
totally.
books? I just feel like that is it really sells people short. Yeah.
Yeah. I am very protective in a lot of ways, despite I say recording like episode 15 of a podcast of like what I want the world to see of me. And like even in my writing, I think a lot about like I want like obscuring myself in it intentionally to account for like adjust for how people will think that they have more transparency to me than they do, you know? But that's not a bad feeling. And sometimes that's one that you like have to is good to listen to. And sometimes it's good to listen to just to like remind yourself that you can and be like, yeah, I can hold a boundary to the world. And then sometimes like for me, I think once I've done that, then I can be like, okay, now that I know that I can like generously extend a lesbian in her 70s or whatever to be like, yeah, what's up? I'm going to extend this because I want to and not because I feel like I have to. You know what I mean?
Oh, damn. Oh, that's very wise. Thank you for the wisdom, Sadie.
That concludes the therapy session of our podcast. Want to talk about Twin Peaks?
Oh my god, yeah, definitely. I could go on about this for another hour, but
I know, right?
Yeah, let's do we want to log the lady?
Yeah. Let's log up. Hashtag log up.
Get login. I need to log in.
Whoa.
Food is interesting. For instance, why do we need to eat? Why are we never satisfied with just the right amount of food to maintain good health and proper energy? We always seem to want more and more. When eating too much, the proper balance is disturbed and ill health follows. Of course, eating too little food throws the balance off in the opposite direction, and there is the ill health coming at us again. Balance is the key. Balance is the key to many things. Do we understand balance? The word balance has 7 letters. 7 is difficult to balance, but not impossible if we are able to divide. There are, of course, the pros and cons of division.
What the fuck?
This one feels like a platonic ideal of the log lady. You know what I mean?
Sure, she's just saying there are concepts in this world. What do we do about that?
This one kind of has me pogging though, not gonna lie.
Yeah? Huh. What I like about it is that I just don't know how to interpret it, but obviously there's something here. It's not like gibberish.
Well, okay, partially we're just getting a lot of the concepts, like big Twin Peaks concepts that we talk about balance. We're at food alert, hashtag eating, and the idea of like eating too much. Why are we never satisfied with just the right amount of food to maintain good health and proper energy? It's funny, there's a way in which this does feel a bit to me like commenting on you made me give you the killer.
You made me give you the killer?
You know, like David Lynch being like, I was pressured into revealing who the killer was earlier than I wanted to, you know?
Oh, sure.
In terms of like, why couldn't you just be satisfied with the right amount of food to maintain good health and proper energy? The show could have kept going, being like pulled along by this mystery, but instead you wanted more and more. I think this coming right after the murder and everything last episode, which was like, you know, Bob like gorging himself on the agonies or whatever Mike calls them, you know. He feeds, or I think it was like he feeds on fear and sorrow and the pleasures, you know. That's a big part of where, honestly, like my looking at food and violence connections coming from is like that specifically, like Mike talks about him like feeding on fear and violence and this idea that like there is consumption as both an eating and as like a TV audience. We kind of feed on fear and violence. And like we just had a horrible buffet of that.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So like, why are you so entertained by this terrible stuff? Did he really need more of it? Is like one angle. Okay. The word balance has 7 letters. 7 is difficult to balance, but not impossible if we are able to divide. That's whatever. But okay, the next line is there are, of course, the pros and cons of division, which has me very intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like on one hand, it's like you need to make it 3.5, right? You need to like
It's not whole. It's
you need to
it's destructive.
Yeah, you need to break apart the integer or whatever. This is shouting to me David Lynch transcendental meditation
Yeah, totally.
and his like the grand unified field or whatever. And also like hashtag this will not divide us. Like there's like a oneness, but that once you start splitting things up in order to balance them, it needs division. I don't really have anywhere to go with that, but that's, I don't know. What do you think?
One thing that comes to mind for me with division as like a little bit destructive is like after Laura dies, Maddy is like sort of brought into the household to restore the balance, keep like the same number of people, and obviously that ends up killing her. It takes her away from her family. That is one interpretation I have. But as far as stuff that is actually like super related to this episode, I don't have much.
It does feel very much like a generated log lady thing in terms of that. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, girl. And it has a lot of these ideas, but in a way that I, right now, honestly, don't have that much thought of how to plug it together. But
yeah,
it's fun. We love her.
Yeah, we love her. We love her. I like that she drinks the tea and then she's like, food is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Is this the first time we've seen her sip?
I think this is the first time we've seen her do anything except sit and talk.
Yeah, well,
I like that.
Food is interesting.
Food is interesting. Want to do the recap?
Yeah, so this episode, I'll start out with around the town. Bobby has a new dumbass get-rich-quick scheme, blackmail. Norma's mom is in town with her new husband, Ernie, the professor, Niles, who it turns out Hank knows from prison, unbeknownst to either of the women. Jerry is doing a horrendous job as Ben's lawyer, but at least the brothers can reminisce about Louise Dombrowski's sexy fleshlight dance. Unfortunately, Ben's day gets even worse when Pete, now in sicko mode, shows up to deliver a recorded extortion from Catherine. Meanwhile, Lucy is back with her sister Gwen and Gwen's baby as the show keeps the is Andy a father or not plotline ricocheting between yes and no. Meanwhile, Coop continues his prodigious taking L's streak, failing to apprehend Leland at every opportunity. He's changed his mind about Ben being the killer after Ben fails Mike's Bob detector test, but Harry insists on charging him based on the hard evidence, not the dreams. He gets a visit from Audrey, who wants to ask if her father is the killer and assure Coop that she's still a virgin, but is interrupted by Coop hearing that Maddy has been found on a beach, dead, wrapped in plastic.
God.
Some little trivia. This is written by Scott Frost, who is Mark Frost's brother. Apparently, Scott Frost was also an extra in episode 5 as one of the Icelandic businessmen. And this is directed by Caleb Deschanel, who previously directed episode 6, Realization Time. That was like the one that heavily featured the bird, Waldo the bird, that we actually liked a lot. And I think I said this last time too, but he is Zoe Deschanel's dad, which is very funny.
Hell yeah, brother.
What do you think of the episode?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's slightly a return after this last episode that was very focused, very like cinematic. It didn't have no subplots, but like a little more streamlined. This is a more classic, like mid-season 1 episode style of like here's what's happening in this plotline and this plotline and this plotline, but everything that is happening is like super fun and compelling. Not all fun, but like just it feels like there's real momentum in this episode. There's some hijinks. I loved it. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember, I think when we did like season 2, episode 2, I was like, I feel like I'm a bit unfairly down on this episode just because season 2, episode 1 was such a banger for me. And I feel a bit the same in that like the previous episode that we watched has like some of the most heart-rending sequences on television, maybe ever, you know?
Yeah,
like
sure.
Definitely frankly, maybe top 5 for me. I would have to, but and this is an episode of TV. And so there's a bit of me that's like, well, a bit let down just by virtue of the prodigious heights of the previous one, but honestly also fun on the whole, I would say.
Yeah, honestly, dude, where I'm at, because I know that the last episode is sort of one of the crescendos of the series, and I will mention again that I know what's coming for the next like 10 episodes or so. So at this point, I'm taking anything that is even good as great, because I've already gotten so much wonderful stuff, so much wonderful character work and just like artistic choices from the show. I don't mind having 10 episodes of hijinks or whatever it is.
All of the Leland scenes I actually really like.
Yeah?
It's like definitely a very different tone from last episode, but I think it like strikes a good tone of like he's just getting away with it, and the like little peeks in, and I think for how much, you know, like I kept being in like the lead up to this being like they're just letting Leland walk, I think is really starting to drive the point home. You know, starting the last one certainly did, but like I think we're really getting the thing that I kept talking about the kind of like like just under the surface self-critique of like the idea of critiquing the town and critiquing Dale Cooper. I think that is very drawn to the surface in this episode for me, you know?
Yeah, with that one Pete line, with obviously just everything Leland does in this episode. The continued mistreatment of Mike. Yeah.
Which Pete line are you thinking of?
I loved her.
Whoa. Oh, damn.
Dude, I got so much to say. Yeah, let's get into it.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. Damn. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Because that's what Ben says. Whoa. Okay. Let's talk about the episode.
Let's talk about the fucking episode.
Okay.
Let's go.
Scene 1. You have your name on it.
I do. Yeah, let's switch it up a little bit. This episode starts with an interesting tactic we've seen before, which is just a strange sound without context in a way that makes it a little scary. We pan across the living room. Camera nerds are going to get mad that I said pan. I don't know the exact name of the movement.
Slip and slide.
Leland golf practicing inside. He's just whacking some balls. Then James and Donna come in to like
we're just sticking with that one. He's whacking his balls.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I said is what I said. James and Donna come by to like hopefully say bye to Maddy, but Leland says like, oh, I just dropped her off at the bus station not 20 minutes ago. And also she's so mad at you because you didn't come yesterday. She's so disappointed in you. You really hurt her feelings. And then they feel terrible and leave. Next up, we get a quick dialogue with Sarah, who's upstairs and seems like totally back to normal after the horrors she was subjected to last time. She's just talking to Leland like things are normal.
Honestly, she still seems kind of out of it though.
Yeah, it's true.
But I guess she always has. But
that's true.
That makes it feel so much worse that she always has.
Oh fuck! Oh my God! Yeah. Anyway, so Leland is getting ready to go out and do some golfing. He takes his new iron and puts it in his golf bag, which has Maddy's dead body inside. He gets into his car. He pops the roof up and he goes, because life is awesome. And that's the scene.
Yeah.
It's a strong start. It's been such a quick transition to making me absolutely hate Leland from last episode when I was completely caught off guard to here. Like, what really sticks with me about the scene is that Leland is just totally, everything's peachy. He gets the convertible and the big house and the golf club membership and whatever. Basically, like, he has been rewarded for everything he's ever done in his life, is what I take from this, right? Nothing bad ever happens to Leland.
God. Yeah. At the end, I was like, has he always had a convertible? And like, I don't think we've seen him having a convertible before now. It's almost as though like his like demonic pact with Bob, who, and there's a great moment of this in this episode, but has this kind of like fourth wall breaking ability. The act of killing and sacrificing Madeline to Bob like has written into the show him having a convertible, you know?
Shit, yeah.
Like he has become more wealthy and more successful, as if he like struck a demonic pact with the writers, you know?
Oh, that's fucking good. I mean, any earlier in the show and it would have been really confusing to see Leland driving around with the roof of his car pop, like because he has mostly been the grieving father. And even when he seemed like really happy after his hair changed color, I wanted to be happy for him, to be honest. Like, and so I think seeing him in a convertible then would have been like a bridge too far. Like, whoa, what's going on, man?
Yeah. And it's worth saying, remember when that happened was after the last time he killed someone.
Yeah.
Was he killed Jacques Renault and then was like, oh my God, I'm so happy.
Holy shit. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. My other thing up top is what a scumbag for like guilting for guilting Maddy's friends about not being there.
Yeah.
He just so takes pleasure in this like patriarchal scolding role, right?
And even the way that he like when he says that, like one of my notes is like he's saying that, and there's like a moment where he like looks at Donna with like a certain hunger in his eye, and I was like, oh my god, is he just like identified Donna as his next victim?
Oh fuck. Oh
That's like truly
fuck.
what I took from that, was like him being like, oh, and now I can start turning the screws on you and starting to make you experience agony to like get you ready for an eventual sacrifice again, you
Oh,
know?
that's fucking awful, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it's bad. It's like I said, it'd been like 2-3 weeks since we recorded last time, and like my first note is just, man, I forgot how bad things were. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, Twin Peaks, it's not silly times. Like just like the opening shot, we get like the outside of the house at night, and we hear like very distantly Madeline screaming and like a thud. And I noticed there's like all the lights are on except for one window has its lights off, and it's I think the one with the
Mm.
ceiling fan,
Oh.
which is just like, it's, I don't know, just struck me. But like, yeah, we
Yeah.
get this like, you know, horrible thud, and like, yeah, when we see the living room in the morning, we're panning, you know, down these pics of Laura. They feel like kill trophies now, you know?
Oh my god.
And like we see all these golf balls flying, and like you said, he's practicing golf. There's like probably 50 golf balls that we see along the living room. And like I love the note you made that like we see it from this wide shot of the empty room. It's like the similar angle to the Bob attack, but like everything's been rearranged again. He has a rug now just on the floor over their already carpeted floor, presumably because there's blood under there, you know?
Right.
The golf thing is like, on the one hand, you know, kind of losing it, kind of like, but also it's like an alibi for like, hey, why did we hear thuds in the middle of the night, and is there like an impact crater in the wall from you slamming Madeline's head into it? He's like, oh yeah, I've just been shooting golf balls around all day.
It feels worth noting that he's using like the driver, like the strongest club,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like insane thing to do inside a house. Like very, yeah, like destructive actually.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's like, again, like Sarah being like, Leland, honey, I just like wrote like, oh, it's
Oh.
fucking grim in there. And like there's like a moment of like Donna giggling at all the golf balls, and his face just goes like entirely grim in a like, yeah, it's bad.
Man.
It's also like him putting the club in with her. It's like there's a certain camp to it.
Oh, definitely.
I think is what helps guide us a bit from the tone of last episode back into a more in line with Twin Peaks tone, where we have this like horrible situation, but we're easing back into a bit of like camp and a little bit of silliness, like at the edge of the scene, you know?
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, shit's grim.
Shit's grim. Want to take this next one?
Yeah. So, okay, then we're checking in on Ben, who is in jail. We get our like first instance of Jerry coming in as his lawyer. I don't think we had any clues beforehand that Jerry was a lawyer in any way,
right?
which is made immediately, like justifies itself by showing that he's a very bad lawyer. I'm obsessed with like when he walks in, because, you know, he was just in Japan, right? Checking out the Tokyo Bank for Mr. Tajimura or whatever. He walks in and like presumably knows that Ben has been charged, like is being detained in relation to this murder, but still walks in and is like, oh, konnichiwa, Oni-san. It's like so fucking funny to me.
He's such a like a little piece of shit little brother, right?
He's like carrying a little mini Japanese flag. I gotta say, Jerry, David Patrick Kelly is like the highlight of this episode for me.
Mhm.
Like he's been so much of a over the top guy, but him playing completely straight, all of these scenes of him trying and being a horrible lawyer is genuinely very, very funny to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically they walk in and they're talking about how Ben has like not very much by way of defense. I think he says, you know, your regular mouthpiece has been charged with murder himself, because of course usually Leland would be his lawyer, but like Leland's been charged with the murder of Jacques. Just another moment of like, damn, they really just let him walk out of there.
And they're palling around with him in this fucking episode.
Yeah.
And
We'll
they know
get there,
he did
but
it. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, it's a lot. And let's see here. We have he says, like, where were you on the night of Laura's murder? He says, I was with Catherine. And there's kind of the whole thing of Jerry. And it's like, this is, again, kind of funny, kind of speaking to a grim thing underneath. Jerry's kind of going through all this being like, well, you probably did kill her. And again, really with these boys is like the knife's edge of dudes rock and dudes are horrifying,
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, that's not so great. Do we have any bone fragments or teeth left of Catherine, assuming that she was burned to death? I love he has this like pipe that we've never seen him with before, but he's like, well, as a lawyer, I have to smoke out of my distinguished pipe.
Oh, he's one of my favorite dudes, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you and I may not be necessarily convinced on the idyllic, or as easily convinced as like David Lynch and Twin Peaks the show is about like the idyllic nature of small town America to like have that, but we love dudes who rock.
Yeah.
And I think that is why this works for like that tension. But I love he's like kind of just like walking around, he looks up and he sees the like bunk bed that's in the cell is just like a holding cell, and he says, bunk beds. And then just like they are transported into a like flashback reminiscence of them in their like bunk beds as kids, as Louise, let me get the exact quote here. Said, do you remember our first room, Ben? Me in the top bunk and you on the bottom bunk, and Louise Dombrowski dancing on the hook rug with a flashlight. And we get this like bizarre, like slow motion flashback of just the two of them in bed with like crazy, like extremely, they've got fucking like glasses and teeth, like just really serving like, hello, it's me, I'm 12 years old, as this like silhouetted young woman, Louise Dombrowski, who I gotta say kind of looks like Audrey.
Yeah, no, completely. I was thinking the same thing, in this weird like low frame rate thing, right? That I don't think we've seen the show pull out before.
No, yeah. She just kind of would get the whole flashback of her doing a little dance of spinning the flashlight in a circle, and it's like their fond memory of discovering the joys of female sexuality via this flashlight dance. Oh, who, by the way, apparently Louise Dombrowski is played by Emily Fincher, who is the sister of director David Fincher, so that's fun.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, she was a production assistant who also played Louise Dombrowski, the spinning flashlight girl. And my other note here is like it really evokes for me, like it's this really childish idea of what sexy is, but is kind of what they still live by,
Yeah, it's like, let me put on a show for you, boys.
Yeah, and it also evoked Laura dancing, like in the story that we heard from Donna a couple episodes ago, like Laura like dancing for the boys,
It's true. A flashback at all is really weird in this show, and I'm trying to understand.
God, is this like our first? I think this is, I can't remember another flashback that this show has ever done.
I'm pretty sure you're right. It's like such a throwaway line otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, the line itself is, I love the line. Louise Dombrowski dancing on the hook rug with a flashlight or whatever. It's like very literary.
Mm-hmm,
and so to then illustrate it feels like it's not a choice that I mind. I just don't understand it. I thought maybe it's just like, we know that David Lynch has sort of taken a backseat now. So maybe whoever is overseeing things has like different sensibilities. I don't know.
Honestly, this does kind of feel like a scene that David Lynch would put in here, though, to me.
I see what you mean, but it's funny that he didn't ever flash back. And I can't think of any flashbacks in any of his movies. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, it does feel like something David Lynch would put in terms of just like, we're taking a minute plus of screen time for this weird slow-mo dance. Well, I don't know. It like isn't disconnected from everything else going on in the rest of the episode. Like in a way, it is kind of another layer of like the tension of the Horn brothers, and that it is kind of endearing and like corny in an endearing way. And it is very like, well, oh, remember when we were kids, and like them having this like bizarre connection over like, well, it was so sexy when she danced with her flashlight. But then like the fact, I think it's got to be intentional how much this silhouetted Louise Dombrowski like has the Audrey haircut silhouette.
Absolutely. Oh my God. And you don't see her face really.
No, not at all.
She is the fantasy blank slate object, whatever. Definitely how dark it is feels like off-putting to me. And I do feel like the show has now put in the work of like condemning these guys enough that like I
Yeah.
don't need them to spell it out any further.
Well, and actually thinking about it in terms of like this kind of slow motion effect and with a flashlight, doesn't that evoke the bits in the Bob Madeline murder when it cut into like Bob vision with like slow motion and the spotlight following them?
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah,
Huh.
a little bit,
I
right?
quite like that.
And like, so there's that connection. There's the whole, yeah, like your idea of like sexuality is in your recollection, or like that you're, you know, seeing your daughter. Like, you know, these two are really bonded by their horrible treatment of women, really.
True that.
But at the same time, is it's just kind of goofy and charming in its own way. But such a funky little, strange little scene. But I'm really charmed by it. I won't lie.
Sure. This next one, we are in the police station and we are introduced to one and only Lucy's sister Gwen, who I don't even remember that much about this scene. It's mostly just setting up like here's Gwen, here's her deal.
Mhm.
But she's just like a much more obnoxious Lucy is basically the deal. She's really perfectly cast. Like she's so the resemblance is uncanny. I'm sure
Mhm.
part of it is down to like their similar hairstyles. But Gwen is like, I don't know exactly the archetype. I'm going to say like Pacific Northwest white lady who's really into world music in 1990 or whatever, buys fair trade coffee, but is like has never met a person of color in her life because she meets Hawk here and she's like, I don't remember exactly what, but it's like, oh, you must be the native police officer I've heard about. Oh, I do have the lines. God, how you must hate us white people after all we've done to you. And then Hawk goes, some of my best friends are white people.
It's crazy. I will say I do really like the joke of like, you know, Lucy every time we see her is like talking so much and over explaining everything, and then we see her older sister who is even more like is that but like twice as much, and we're like, oh, this is why Lucy's like this. She needs to fight her way into being able to say anything whenever she's in, like I can just imagine the whole
Oh shit.
I can imagine the whole Lucy family as like just everyone is always like, okay, hun, so you want to go, you're trying to get the casserole tin, so it's under the stove and you're gonna have to pull it out towards you, and then it's gonna be underneath a baking tray, so take it out of there, you know. And she's
I'm just getting like a hint of David Lynch in that impression and I love
There's a
it.
hint of David Lynch in all my impressions now. It's just like it's David Lynch or fucking Werner Herzog, and it all stems from there. But yeah, like she's like had a evolutionary response to this environment, and now she's adjusted for the amount that she needs to speak up and talk to like get a word in edgewise in this family. And then with normal people, it means that she's just saying shit all the time. I kind of love.
Totally.
Oh, that's funny. The transcript actually has slightly different from the subtitles that we had. She was saying that she like had the worst cramps, and the transcript says like I swallowed a cake whole or something. But I'm pretty sure the subtitles and what I heard was like I swallowed a kinked shoe or something, which is so funny. But yeah, this Hawk interaction is like some real 1990s, whoever these writers were, you know, being like, it's time to address, and like it's a little bit like, you know, white writers being a bit like self-satisfied. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, sure, you know, some of my best friends are white people. Have fun, you know?
It doesn't bother me as much as many of the other
Sure.
ways that they handle Hawk's like
Yes.
ethnicity. This joke of like the white person who hates white people is now pretty overdone.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. I think I can understand it being either a hit or a miss, but
Yeah.
mostly I just am delighted to see Lucy's older sister, who's just Lucy, but
Worse.
Yeah. Okay, man. Do we just want to move on to the next big juicy scene?
Yeah, I gave you a big juicy one.
Okay, so we have Coop at the hotel. He's starting, and yeah, he says, Truman and I have just been with the one-armed man, or what's left of him. In another time, in another culture, he may have been a seer, a shaman priest, although whoever wrote this transcript must have heard it slightly differently because they wrote a Shaolin priest. which in our world, he's a shoe salesman and lives among the shadows, which I think meant it was just like, thanks, Dale, for telling us about shaman priests.
This is how people talk about trans women on the internet.
I was literally just thinking that. That's so funny.
May have been a shaman priest instead, a saleswoman living among the shadows.
That's fucked
Many
up.
friends of mine.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, and yeah, of course. So they're at the hotel, and then they, go and see Leland, and Leland is fucking dancing around. He is like back in get happy mode. I don't know if he's literally singing get happy, but yeah, this is like where I wrote, like, last time he was like this was after he killed Jock. He is so okay, they do go up because they're like, oh, you should tell him yourself that we arrested Ben. And again, just thinking about our boys really dropping the ball.
God, yeah.
Even barring the fact that we know that Leland is the host of the evil spirit killer Bob, the last guy who they arrested on suspicion, like in connection to the Laura Palmer murder case, their understanding is that Leland Palmer killed him as a, like, twisted revenge. And then they're like, hey, by the way, Leland, we arrested another guy in connection with the murder of your daughter. It's your friend Ben, by the way. Like, they seem completely unworried that he would also try to kill Ben. Now, obviously, he doesn't, because we know that that's not what's going on. But they're just like, like, the part of their brain that could think, like, they truly have just sorted Leland into good guy category in a way that they are, like, unable to imagine him kind of doing anything.
That's very true. Hey, this is only partly related, but if Bob within Leland killed Laura, then why did he also kill the Renault brother who was suspected of the murder? Like, why would he even care about that guy at all?
I think my read, and this is kind of like a common read, is that it was to cover his tracks. Like, Jacques Renault could have, like, if the third man that they were talking about, like, Leland came up to the cabin when they were partying and then got the girls and took them to the train car to kill them, it's possible that Jacques Renault could have seen him doing that.
I see.
And he doesn't want to have him, like, testified against,
Okay, well, that's a pretty good theory. I'm satisfied.
And I think, like, there's a degree to which I think Bob in Leland is, like, kind of always on the lookout for a next meal,
Sure.
It's probably a combination of a lot of things. I'm sure, honestly, like, there's a read that, depending on how, like, lucid we think Leland is about all this, there's a read in which there was a point in which Leland was thinking, I'm killing the guy who killed Laura, but, or like that was part of the, like, self-delusion. I think a lot of these things are true in different ways and at different times almost. So yeah, they come and they tell this, and, like, Leland has like and it's like, the law will handle this. I just wrote irony of ironies because, yeah.
God.
And we see him, like, walk around the corner, and he's kind of, like, whimpering and crying, that in a way that turns into this, like, twisted Bob laughter.
Yeah. That can be totally interpreted as crying from a distance.
Definitely. And I had a note of, like, do we think the whimpering and crying is real, or do you think it's all a performance, or do we think that, like, there is a degree to which Leland is whimpering and crying, and then Leland / and or Bob is also laughing? Do you have a take on that, Lily?
Well, I had thought that it was totally a performance, but I like the idea that it could be somewhat sincere. Like, maybe he is just, like, overcome with emotion. I still don't really understand, like, who's in the driver's seat, whether Bob and Leland have some sort of pact or are the same person, or Bob is, like, actually possessing Leland against his will. I don't really know. So you call out here the moment that Leland, like, grins into the camera.
Oh,
right?
It's crazy. Because, yeah, so, like, moving on, then, like, we have this wonderful shot of, like, Dale kind of getting a little bit of an intuition and going after to talk to Leland for a second. And there's a great shot of, like, we're walking towards the, like, doors, the exit of the Great Northern with their red curtains, and then, like, veering to the left around the corner. And it's a real, like, we are denied an exit. We are, like, not able, in the same way that Maddy was. We don't get to, like, go through these doors in a cathartic way. And, he goes and talks to Leland briefly, and I think is basically just like, if you can remember anything unusual about Ben's behavior the night of Laura's death, let me know. And, of course, we see what's, like, shot so we're seeing Leland's face and like bent over his corner, over his shoulder, and he's kind of, was doing the laugh and then switches back to a distraught face. And then as Dale leaves, he like grins at the camera and does like a fucking like Jim Halpert ass look. Like
You know what I think it is? I think it's a Bugs Bunny look.
Oh,
I think
is
it's like...
a Bugs Bunny. It is, yeah. It's like a, can you believe this guy? Like,
I'm totally getting one over on him.
yes, exactly. Wow. And that was crazy to me because I forgot that happens. And that's like never happened in the show before. I guess we did have Bob like staring at the camera when he was like walking at the camera.
Yeah. And I think also in that one like terrifying flash where like Laura is being killed, like she is also looking into the camera.
Yeah.
But it is definitely used very carefully, very rarely. And never like this is just in like a normal scene in a normal location.
Like it really feels like I wrote Jim Halpert because it's truly like just he is breaking the... Like, those are all scenes that were explicitly, like, now we're in Vision territory, And now we're just, we're seeing the world of Twin Peaks, and then all of a sudden, Leland, Bob can, like, see the camera and interact with us. And it's fucking crazy.
Dude, yeah.
The other thing about this scene that really gets me, it's been a couple weeks since we watched the last episode. I kind of had to bring myself into, like, this is right after the last episode, and Dale's like doesn't talk about it at all. Like he had that like crazy roadhouse experience, right? Where like the whole town is like brought to tears by like the psychic emanations of the murder.
Wait, yeah.
And he sees the spirit and he tells him it is happening again. And
why aren't we talking about that?
And like the waiter comes up and hits him with the "I'm so sorry," and then he just doesn't talk about it like at all, right?
Yeah, and in fact, it doesn't seem to be impacting anyone. Like Bobby was also there and had the crying thing happen.
Yeah, and now he's just like, I got my money cassette tape. We'll get there when we get. Obviously, we saw the murder happening, so we knew it was happening. But like, you'd think that Dale, Mr. Attuned to like dreams and visions and stuff, would be able to put together that like some shit was going down, but instead he's just like, yeah, I was just with Philip Gerard. Like he doesn't mention seeing the giant again. And I don't know, some of this is really interesting just kind of from, again, the kind of meta level, like that was David Lynch's big goodbye and he made the perfect episode that he wanted to make. And now like we're in the part of the show that David Lynch has, although I think David Lynch was still involved in like this episode and the next one, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what I mean? Like there's a degree to which like the meta level of the show has like officially severed itself from what came before with the murder. In terms of my sense of like Dale taking L's all over this episode is like he just had what should have been like screaming to him as a like, he had a dream about like a man, there's a man in a smiling bag, and he like was looking out for a smiling bag all episode, and now he has like the most transcendent, emotional, in some ways kind of on the nose, like it is happening again is cryptic, but also kind of not so much. Everyone's crying, and completely fails to incorporate that into his like investigative process at all. It's funny how we'll have the scene later on, which is actually the one that I think Riley last episode was referring to, where Harry is like, I'm done with the dreams. It's hard evidence now. But like Dale seems to have also kind of talked himself into that. Like he has closed himself off to his intuition, and like it really feels like everyone is in denial about what we saw last time. And I'm sure maybe part of that is that like the like writing and directing team that were doing this episode could have been entirely severed from David Lynch's writing or directing process for last episode. But it's kind of crazy.
First of all, it does feel like Dale is this agent who has this advantage of like a connection to the beyond world. And basically Harry has asked him, I think in last episode, maybe in this one, to like sever that connection and like basically just respect the typical process. And so I think that is a major factor in why he's not like pursuing these leads more actively.
Mhm.
But even then, it like really cannot be justified that he wouldn't mention to anyone that this had happened, or he doesn't even seem slightly concerned that someone else might have been murdered, right? Like
Mhm.
he's not going around requesting a head count or anything.
Mhm.
The fact of the big reveal to Dale happening on a stage and then all of these spectators crying makes it feel like, oh, that was our moment of grief. Like
Yeah.
we got to experience the catharsis of beautiful art, and now we're moving on, and that's all it really meant to us. Like
Mhm.
basically a lack of responsibility toward, women,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
even as we feel these strong things when they're hurt.
Mhm. You feel like there's like a degree to which Dale and the town are saying like we kind of got, oh my god, were they also consuming? Like did they also eat too much, you know?
Yeah, I think they might have just had their fill, gotten what they needed.
Yeah, like they had this like artistic cathartic moment and then that's like they feel like they don't need to look more into what made that happen, or like they feel in a way like disincentivized to, because in a way the violence benefited them by providing them this like catharsis and like spiritual cathartic moment.
Yeah, that is kind of what I'm thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
with the continued symbolism of like, it's really fucked up to film things. It's really fucked up to
Yeah.
capture things on
Yeah,
camera.
I love that.
I also have no idea how intentional that was. I really do feel like this actually happened for more practical reasons, but there's meanings we can read into it. What is your read?
No, I really love that read. I mean, honestly, I think part of my read, I was just reminded that I'm gonna have to get my co-host. The website is gonna explode in like a week and they're officially deleting all their data. So I'm gonna want to get my data to get my posts that I had posted there. Because I know I had made a post that I really liked a lot that I think I made after watching all of Twin Peaks, but I think I had
Oh.
waited a bit before showing you this, but I'm gonna find it because I think
Oh my god, please.
it is applicable to this. Let me see. I'm trying to like my co-host page still exists, so I'm trying to scroll through it to find. Aha, here we are. I said I finished watching all of Twin Peaks today. It's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. Here's my review. This is the like extremely deep fried, I'm a keep it real with you, 57th Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. This will not fix the declining birth rate, but I'm gonna keep it real with you, Special Agent Dale Cooper. Your belief in the goodness of America makes you unable to ever truly fix the evil at the heart of America.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of that other screenshot that you saw that was just the I'm afraid that love won't be enough, Because I feel like this is kind of my read on Dale's failure, and I'm feel comfortable because I've basically said this in so many words that like he is someone who is so enamored with the idea of the beauty of Twin Peaks in the small town, in a way that I think when he like has this experience at the Roadhouse, I think you're onto something that like he processes it as a beautiful aesthetic experience, but like has to be in denial about what it says about the horrible violence. Like he has to keep acting as though the like 20-minute like truly horrifying murder sequence in last episode, like, which is really, I know we talked about it for like fucking an hour or whatever last time, but like it's truly hard to overstate just how horrifying it is and how outside of the norm of anything that would go on like network TV it is.
Holy shit, yeah.
Like Dale Cooper, the way that he exists in Twin Peaks, the show and the place kind of demands him. He's like allegedly here to investigate and to find the secret. Like if David Lynch didn't want the killer to be revealed because having that mystery was necessary as like a piece of narrative tension to keep people interested in finding out things about Twin Peaks, the town, I think likewise, Dale Cooper wants to be a vehicle by which the audience can like experience Twin Peaks, the town, and doesn't want to find the killer. It not like he does, but you know what I mean? Like I think there's this like meta level going on there. And I think in this universe of this show, what that means is that like he has this like urge to prioritize appreciating the beauty of the idea of Twin Peaks over actually finding out, like, looking under the rock and seeing the worms in there. And he has like a really strong denial of like, he wants to believe so much in the goodness of America and in the idea of Twin Peaks in a way that makes him unable, I think, to really reckon with the evil there. I think it's like this tension that is the show. Like Dale is kind of unable to resolve it.
Wow.
Yeah, because it is like really crazy to have that really, really, like, I was crying watching last episode and the end of it.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
to think that character has that experience and then goes, okay, anyway, Diane, I was just with the one-armed man. In a past life, he would have been a shaman priest. Anyway, hi, Leland. Let me know if you saw anything
old
weird.
buddy.
See ya. You know, like, it's
Oh God.
it just really feels like there is such an intentional denial, or like, you know, willful, if not necessarily intentional, but like denial and refusal to like reckon with what he needs to reckon with to be able to figure this out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, dude. It is exactly the kind of thing that keeps us stuck in these cycles. And it also makes me think of like a lot of engagement around wrongs in the real world. Like it
Mhm.
seems like, you know, a lot of what we do offers us, and this is not, I'm not talking about like serious activists or major actions. I'm talking more like the public who maybe gets politically engaged with something
Mhm.
once every year.
Mhm.
It feels like we care about something, we do things to feel emotional catharsis and feel like we care, and then things just keep getting worse, you know? Like I feel like every time there is a groundswell of like social consciousness among people who are not usually super engaged in that way, I feel like it we get all our thoughts out and we print the t-shirts, and then we move on, and people keep,
Mhm.
you know, police budgets just balloon,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they become more violent.
Yeah, so next scene is honestly a very funny one. We're back with fucking Ben and Jerry. We start out as Doc Hayward, who I love in your notes. You just wrote Dr. Haraway, question mark, name, Lamau.
Because I was thinking of Donna Haraway.
Donna Haraway in Twin Peaks would go crazy, though. If only.
Who is Donna Haraway again? I know she's someone that I've read before.
Donna Haraway is like Cyborg Manifesto. She is a American professor emerita in the history of consciousness and feminist studies. She's like attached to like science and is like, but in a very kind of like philosophy of science of being like, I like read a thing of hers recently that was like, I forget what it was called, but it was like, you know, instead of having one objective, like allegedly like kind of universal objective, like panopticon science position, which is obviously just like the straight white man position, like we shouldn't go too far the other way into like there's only subjectivity and we can't build any objective knowledge, of saying like we should all, like when you do science, you should speak with confidence about your like objective knowledge of your subjective position. But she's also like done a lot of stuff with around like the idea of like cyborgs and gender, and like she's done a lot of stuff.
Okay, yeah. That's who I thought this guy's daughter was.
So funny. Wait, his daughter is Donna. Oh my God, Donna Haraway.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I thought of it.
Damn, that would be crazy. Anyway.
Anyway.
He's giving a blood test. Let's see. We you know, Jerry's kind of like, oh, come on, how dare you? And Cooper is like, gives him the like, graduated from Gonzaga University. Lee, do you know about the me, Gongaga? Is this a clip that means anything to you?
Absolutely not.
I think this is from like one of the Final Fantasy games. I think what he's saying is that he comes from the town of Gongaga, but
Me? Gongaga.
That's
really
when someone asks where Jerry Horn got his law degree from. Me? Gonzaga. He has had his license to practice law revoked in Illinois, Florida, Alaska, and Massachusetts, which is a very funny combination of states. Really just like Florida to Alaska, all over. Like, what the fuck was he doing in 4 states? And Coop starts grilling Ben. He's basically giving him a like interrogation, trying to get him to confess. He's like as you note, he's like trying to hit the good cop of being like, you know, listen, you know, you're with you know, Laura, this wild girl. You know, it's easy to lose control. She's a threat not just to you, but to your business, your family.
God.
He takes out Laura's diary. He's like, you know, well, maybe you don't have anything to hide. That's not what it says in here. I love the moment where he's like, do you know what this is? And Jerry like whispers in Ben's ear, a book. Ben goes, a book. Which is like, I'm sure there's a read on that that's like, you know, don't say that you know that that's Laura's diary, which I don't even think he would. But
no, I don't
it
think
also
so.
is really just serving Jerry just being like, as your lawyer, I know this one. This is a book. A lot
so
of
fucking
Jerry with
funny.
his little fucking pipe. I put this screenshot in the show notes of what he's like, I'd like to take a minute with my client. And flashes like the shitty, like nervous, like toothy smile, which is just like so funny.
He's so slimy.
And then like in there conferring, again, this is where I'm like, wow, Jerry really thinks he might have killed her. He says like, if you're going to blurt out a confession like that, it's going to make our options shrink down to a tiny little nub.
But okay, did Ben like blurt out anything resembling a confession?
No, I think he's just like, you can't talk to me like that. But I guess, this is Jerry saying we need to avoid a procedural investigation, like heated on the stand moment. And you're like, well, it's because I loved her.
Sure.
That's why I did it. Are you happy? Like he's
Okay,
trying to
makes
stop
sense.
something like that. I love his line. He says like, your alibi's been roasted. They can establish motive and your blood may have Laura's fingerprints on it. This guy, he has no idea what's going on. And the big punchline of his saying, Ben, as your attorney, your friend, and your brother, I strongly suggest that you get yourself a better lawyer is so funny.
Good. Oh my god. Yeah, so funny. So Dr. Hayward doing the blood test, he like snaps on his latex gloves and he goes, this won't hurt a bit. It feels, even though you can see that the like little pinprick of blood he takes like would not have been super painful, he seems to be taking pleasure in it.
Yeah, and he definitely kind of jabs him.
Yeah, like a little tiny bit of sadism here as a treat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love like when Ben has the little outburst. This happens in every scene where he's in trouble, right? Like when he's being arrested, he goes, no, no, no.
Yeah.
He's just such a fucking little child.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's not giving like pissed off, overconfident businessman. It's giving like, stop hitting me, stop hitting me, stop hitting me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. With like a tinge of like, you can't do this to me. It's not fair. I'm supposed to be above this shit, Fun
Yeah,
scene.
totally.
David Patrick Kelly as Jerry is doing a phenomenal job at comedic acting in this.
World class. Oh my god, completely.
Want to take us to Bobby Land?
Yeah. I took the scene because I feel very strongly about parts of it. I'm not totally clear on what's happening, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So last episode, Leo kept saying new shoes and Bobby found like a tape inside of Leo's shoes. Now he's listening to that tape. That tape contains Leo and Ben colluding in some criminal way that like, okay, I see the description here says a deal to set fire to the mill. I honestly had not gathered that.
This is the conversation when he says like, keep it simple. Insurance investigators should read arson, block letters about 6 feet high.
Oh shit. Okay. I just wasn't paying attention then.
Cause you had your eyes on Bobby's crazy fucking bandana that he has on. I know I did.
It's cute. But here's why I want to talk about this scene for real. Because we already knew that they colluded to set fire to the mill or whatever. Like that makes perfect sense. Shelley walks in like upset because Leo has just like spilled or spat food all over her. It appears to me to just be ketchup and mustard.
Yeah, they were giving him this ketchup and mustard soup.
Okay, but then like she's getting upset. Bobby's like, oh, but I'm going to go into business. I'm going to be executive level because, he realizes that he can parlay this into like some big, powerful, prestigious job or payoff or whatever. So she's like, ooh, I'm so excited. Ooh, so sexy. And then, okay, Bobby starts to fucking lick the ketchup off of her chest. Okay, their conversation continues. And then, and I didn't even catch this part on the first watch, he starts just like swooping up little bits of the condiments sprayed all over her and feeding it to her.
It's so
while they
funny.
talk.
It's so funny.
I'm sad that I cannot match his freak. Like if I wish I could be him in this moment. He's on another level.
Yeah, this is, again, just, like, literally every time we have a Bobby scene where, like, our report is that we've gone back and forth between fuck this guy or, well, he does kind of have it, Like, I just, look at this picture I just dropped in. He's kind of got his little butch swag.
He so does.
You're real lover, real freak. And it's so... Even here, he's back on his same bullshit. Like, he's like, oh, no, this new get-rich-quick scheme is gonna work. I have a fucking cassette tape and I'm gonna get you everything you ever wanted, baby. And, like, it's so bullshit. But What can I say? I'm charmed.
Yeah.
It's funny to me. Fucking Tampopo moments, you know?
I would not know. Still haven't seen
Oh,
it.
shit. You haven't seen... Damn. Okay, we gotta
I
watch
know.
Tampopo, because let me tell you, if you want to watch a movie that takes the idea of this horny licking condiments off your lover's chest and dials it up to like 89, you should watch Tampopo. It is one of my favorite movies ever.
Fuck yeah. I've heard about the egg yolk thing.
Yeah. I'm charmed by his, like, 8th get-rich-quick scheme of the week, and each time it's the same empty promises, but he manages to have, despite everything, just enough little lover boy dipshit dumbass swag that I'm like, I can see why Shelley is interested in, like, buying into this, you know?
Yeah, he's got the game. He has been, in several moments, a deadbeat. He has been just, like, insensitive and a dipshit. I'm not getting anything at this point to suggest the level of like violence that Leo inflicts.
Yeah. I would agree.
However, still like dump him.
Yeah. And my other thing was I did have another little food violence alert, because when she walks in like smattered in the sauce, it does kind of look like blood. So
It's true.
That's fun. So next up is at the Great Northern, and we are introduced to our new little subplot this episode, which is that Norma's mom is coming to town. And sorry, I love that I didn't even notice this at the time, but she takes a bite off of Toad's plate. Damn, that's rude, lady. I did just write shout out to Toad, the morn of Twin Peaks, which any DS9 heads in the chat will enjoy that one.
I love that Toad is like still around in the diner from like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah, shout out to
like,
Toad.
I think it's the same meal.
Yeah, he has the like fucking eternal soup or whatever, but it's Toad's meal. They need to give Toad that soup that blinds him for a day. So, you know, at first Norma's just like having some like, oh, my mom is here, and she's like kind of judgmental and kind of passive aggressive, and like, you know, that's like setting it up that that's going to be the thing. But then it turns out that Norma's mom also has her new husband here, Ernie Niles. I mean, we only find this out a couple scenes later, but it turns out that him and Hank know each other from prison. And I think we get like, I know you wrote here, like, what's up with the note on the newspaper? I think it's that like, it's like a sports betting thing.
But why give that to her?
I can't tell if like, I don't know if he meant to give it to her. I think he maybe just like, because she goes and picks up, she just goes and picks it up. I don't know if he was meant to put this down as a bet for like his betting person, whatever, to like find and put him down for, or if he's just like, or if it's like, well, he's not gambling with actual money, but he's like going through the movements of like, you know, it just feels good to put $1,000 on Houston by 3 points. Unclear to me, but basically, one way or another, he has this kind of sports betting thing going on that Vivian, who's Norma's mom, doesn't know about. My other notes here are just I gotta say they casted her really well, because doesn't she kind of look like older Norma?
Absolutely, she does. Yeah, and she also has the same like compared to the other characters on the show, like a bit of a calm about her. Like she's it's not that she's like subdued, but just seems very at ease.
Yeah,
to the point that like on my first viewing of this episode, I was like, what's Norma's like issue with her mom? She seems like a normal lady, because we're used to the annoying characters being like really in your face about it, right? Like the other annoying character we meet in this episode, Lucy's sister. They're kind of both being a little inappropriate with her. Like Ernie is kind of flirting with her.
I love he comes up and he calls her Norma.
Norma.
It's just funny to me.
Ernie like flirting with her in a way that might have read as like, oh, just like old-timey flattery like 10 episodes ago. But now anytime that there is a father figure who is sexualizing a young woman, I need to shoot him with a gun. Yeah, Norma's mom, Vivian, is going to be one to watch for me. She seems like an interesting character.
My other note on this scene is I love when Norma's like, oh, Mom, I wish I'd known there's this food critic that's going to come to town. And I'm like, oh, shit. The empty Wentz plotline is still active.
Is
you
he
know,
still in
we
town?
haven't
Like...
we haven't put that one to bed. I genuinely forget if it gets paid off or not, but I'm like, damn, this means that maybe it could. I'm on empty Wentz watch, you know?
Oh my god.
It's so funny. Anyway, you want to take us to the next one?
Yeah, this is a pretty quick one, but basically,
Yeah.
Philip Gerard is being held in, I think it's a hospital or a hotel room or something.
Yeah, because it's the Great Northern, right?
Oh, okay, he is. Yeah. He asks his nurse to go get him a glass of water, during which time there is like a police officer who sort of walks in to keep watch. Mr. Gerard bonks him on the head with something, goes like, "Ah, sorry." And then he jumps out the window. Get out of here, buddy.
Yeah, he's playing hitman.
And you can tell that he doesn't want to, right? Like
Yeah.
I maintain that Philip Gerard, or I guess I kind of thought that this was Mike. I'm not really sure who is in the driver's seat right now.
I think it's more Mike, because he does, remember, the scene starts with him and he's like, the arm is really, the like stub of his arm is like going kind of crazy, and he's like, he's near. I think this is him like sensing that Leland is close in the hotel and being like, I gotta go get him.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this one, except I wish they would be better to my guy, Mike / Philip.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a kind of funny thing. This cop, who is he?
God, that's a...
All of the other cops have like plot things to do in this episode, so they just had to add another cop who doesn't have any
who just
lines
gets bonked.
or a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that they should be nicer to him. I think that I agree about that partially also just in terms of like the show, him like waking up and they're really having him like wiggle the shoulder, like stump of the arm in a way that really plays up how much like he is armless, right up on the edge, if not a bit over like the Twin Peaks using disability as a metaphor / like doing the thing of like, this guy looks visibly like he visibly has one arm that is different from most people, and we are going to use that to play that up as looking strange or like unnatural or kind of scary, you know. This is also true about like that sequence with the little guy like way back in episode 3 dancing, you know, in the dream sequence. Sometimes Twin Peaks, I'm like, well, I can kind of, you know, I'm kind of willing to look the other way or you know, excuse it. And sometimes I'm like, well, I don't know. Yeah. And even the whole like the idea of like I had to like cut off my arm to sever my like connection with like the spirit killer Bob is like very compelling to me. But I think the way it's the visuals here, I think, are a bit on the exploitative side for me. And then also, yeah, in fiction, why the fuck are they doing this? He has cooperated with them. If anything, he's been their only source of information about how the fuck the spirit world works.
It's true.
And they're treating him like a suspect that they have to like fucking tie up and like, you know, deny him his fucking medicine and detain so that they can bring him in as like a human Bob detector. Like literally objectifying him, you know, like treating him as a tool. And no, it is going completely unquestioned, the idea that it is just, he should still just be like tied down or, you know, like kept under lock and key against his will, because that's like what's best for him / what it lets them use him in that way. This is one where I don't even know if the show agrees with that like the show seems to kind of buy into that, but my reading on it is definitely like, this is another way in which like Dale and the boys are making themselves complicit and are like participating in the violence that lets them let Leland just fucking walk away, you know?
No, I completely agree.
My only other note is that I think that it is kind of funny that when, like, I think the cop goes in because he hears a sound and he sees the open window, and I'm like, oh, did he jump out the window? And then no, it turns out he was like hiding around the corner to bonk the cop, and then he jumps out the window. I just think it's kind of funny to do a double fake out in that way, you know?
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we go back to Hankland and at the diner?
Back to Hankland.
So yeah, we're back at the diner, and now Hank is coming in. Norma's like, hey, you were missing for 48 hours. And of note, the last time we saw him was like Jean Reno capturing him, right? When he was like watching them storm the One-Eyed Jacks. And then Jean Reno came up behind him and reached into his pocket and was like, hello, District Attorney Daryl Ludwig. So we don't know what the fuck Hank was doing in those 48 hours. And the way he explains it to Norma, he's like, oh, I had to lie low. There are, from my past life, there are people who want to see me fail. My note is just like, damn, poor Hank. He has to deal with the haters.
Oh.
He's like, I don't want it to, I sometimes, the best thing to do is just to lie low and not get sucked into it. And then here we have like Vivian is like, oh, Hank, let's all, come to dinner. And like Norma clearly doesn't want to go to dinner with her mother, but Hank is like, yeah, we'd love to. And Norma's like, ugh. It's funny like how much happens a lot in Twin Peaks, but we're really getting a lot in this episode specifically of these men that we think are really kind of shitheads and like violent and not afraid to be misogynist by any stretch of the mill, kind of turning the charm on. Because Hank can kind of turn the charm on as he's here and he's acting kind of like dopey and doofy in a cute way for Norma.
His specific thing is he can act very emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
Like, he seems totally understanding of her frustrations and just like explaining his side and saying that he, intends to do better. This is always what he does and it always works. And the kind of thing that you I don't know that you can fake, but clearly he has no actual care for her. So,
but it does feel intentional in this episode that we're getting like so much condensed for Bobby, for Hank, for the Horn brothers. I think it does kind of make me, at least as the watcher, the viewer, like have to confront the part of me that, on the one hand, I'm like, hey, Dale, why aren't you fucking seeing what's in front of you? And I think this episode is kind of answering my question in that it's saying, well, isn't it so easy to be charmed by the charming men of Twin Peaks?
damn.
Isn't it easy to just buy into this vision where you're in this small town and Hank can turn on the charm and Bobby's kind of funny and like, butch swag even when he's being stupid.
Yeah.
And like the way that he's being charming is like he's doing the like, sure, I might be a dipshit, but I'm your dipshit.
Totally.
Like Jerry Horn is so funny, even when he is like, imagine last episode we saw like, we know they recorded this as like kind of a fake out. Like if last episode we saw Ben Horn murder Madeline Ferguson, and then we see Jerry being like, yeah, you probably killed Laura, but don't worry about it. This is a book. We take that at its word and like really dig into it. That is like truly horrifying for Jerry to be this funny and like to be going through it so, so cavalierly. But when we watch it, we're like, oh, that is funny. These boys are funny. And I think that's kind of
works for us.
That's the thing. I think that is what all these scenes kind of piled one after another are doing for us, is saying like, you are also not immune to the charms that are charming Dale. And like charm I'm kind of saying that in like a magical spell, like a charm, a glamour. Like you are having the wool pulled over your eyes as well and being charmed in a like hypnotic magic sense into being charmed by these charming men, even when you also know that they are fundamental to this violence that like was the most horrifying thing on the show last episode.
Sure. I mean, like, who are we to judge Dale for letting Leland go? Maybe we would have done the same.
Yeah. Did you have more on this scene?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
The music playing in the scene also sort of drives that point home. It's like a folksy little guitar or banjo song that has the same motif as the crescendo of Laura's theme. It's not the same song, but it is like very clearly the same motif. But it takes it in like a happier direction.
You know how I've said that the transcripts website will have music files of the music in the episode, and they are kind of all over the place. Some of them are like MIDI. Some of them are just a recording of the audio in the episode. Here's what they have for this. It's just called Country Jukebox 2. It's 5 seconds long. Here's what the transcript has. I guess that's not that far off, but it's so funny how much it's just like this crunchy thing. I love you, GlastonburyGrove.net.
Yeah, so it just feels like another thing of bringing that point home. Also, the way that Vivian is like looking on as Hank sort of manipulates Norma. And I think she is judging Norma for not being more forgiving or more yielding.
Yeah. You want to do Tales from the Lock?
I do.
I wrote down some characters who were not in this episode. We have Big Ed and or Nadine, Josie or Jean Renault, because we don't know what Jean Renault's been up to. I'm leaning either Ed and Nadine or Jean Renault. How about you?
I agree. I think we've done Ed and Nadine before, so let's do Jean Renault.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that he captured Hank, and then Hank was not findable for 48 hours, and now Hank is back and being like, oh, I just had to lay low. What do you think he was like doing with Hank for 48 hours?
Did he like kidnap Hank?
Yeah, because he like came up behind him with a gun, like pressed to his back, right?
It's true.
He had to have been at his mercy.
Yeah, man. Okay, I feel like actually this is one of those things that the show just wants us to not think about because there's no like super logical explanation.
Or unless he turned Hank, unless he's like, all right, Hank, I find out the truth. You are not Daryl Ludwig. You are here because you're working for Monsieur Orne. Monsieur Orne, who fucked me over. And now I want you to go back and pretend to work for him, but betray him for me. Bring me the information.
God, your impression. Okay, that seems pretty likely. However, how do we make it silly? I'm gonna say because it's
well,
like,
clearly they sucked and fucked.
okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable saying that.
So what were you gonna say?
Well, okay. As we know, British Columbia is part of broader French Canada, and
Yes.
it is springtime. So I feel like the maple trees are like, I feel like it's maple season right now. I feel like maybe what happened is Hank sort of pulled out his emotionally sensitive wiles and did a whole thing of like, yeah, I'll tell you, man, let's connect over some, like, show me this place that you're from. Beautiful. Wow. Your backyard has all these maple trees. And then they do some sort of erotic, like drinking the maple water out of the thing as like a stand-in for oral sex. You know?
Yeah. They had a real call me by your name.
Yeah.
of it
Yeah.
all.
Okay, so that
So
seems
funny.
pretty like straightforward. I think that's all in the show. I think that's what they want us to think.
Yeah.
But how does he actually like? How does he get back? Is my question that lingers.
I think Jean Renault turns him loose because he's like, I think he says like, you work for me now. You know, we've seen Jean Renault is a businessman. He isn't afraid to pay well. I think Jean Renault is like, oh, hey, what if that's why fucking Ernie is here? Okay, this would be really in advance because Ernie has been, I guess, has been seeing Norma or fucking Vivian for
At least 6 months.
Here's what I think. Here's my law. Here's my called shot because I don't remember any of this shit. Is I think that Ernie is a man on the inside from Jean Renault.
Oh my god.
Or rather that Ernie was trying to maybe make it clean, you know, and like marry this lady, but Jean Renault has brought him back in and says, now listen, Ernie, I'm sending Hank Jennings back to be my man on the inside with Ben Orne, but you're going to keep an eye on him. And if he acts up, you're going to kill Norma. And if you don't do what I say, then I'll tell Norma's mother about how you were. Or even he could just say, I can kill Norma, and I don't know. I don't really know how it comes out, but I think basically and the fact that I don't know, I think is true to how the criminal schemes in this show work. So I think he is saying, Hank Jennings, you work for me, and Ernie is keeping an eye on you because I have dirt on him. And if either of you don't listen to me, then your beautiful wives will know about your criminal past, and also maybe I'll kill them. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm totally content with that. I think that concludes Tales from the Log. We'll be back with the recap.
Hell yeah. Hello, listeners. It's time for me to tell you to give us $3 on Patreon. Our bonus episode coming out, or maybe out already by the time this is out. I'm not looking at the calendar. It's going to be a Vertigo. Alfred Hitchcock, all-timer, features two characters. A Madeline something or other and a John Ferguson, which is why Madeline Ferguson in Twin Peaks is called that. Heavily influenced Twin Peaks. So if you want to hear us talk about what an influential movie on this show we all love, you got to give us $3. Alrighty. Enjoy the episode.
And we're back.
Meow, 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 meow.
Thank you. This next scene is Pete and Harry at the police station. Harry is just watching some birds. He spots a pileated woodpecker. Yeah, whatever. You know, they bond over bird stuff, which is great for me. they talk a little bit. Why did I take this scene? I don't really remember it.
I can take it if you want. You've got the next one.
Yeah, that might be good.
Sure.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, well, I think maybe you took it because this is the I loved her that I think you will have things to say about, and I'm excited to hear. But yeah, this is so, we have Pete checking out the pileated woodpecker. I wonder if there's something there about, like, we are looking at women, looking at birds in it. And this is like basically, you know, they're kind of talking about how Josie's gone. And we have the little thing where Harry's like, oh yeah, her assistant, Mr. Lee, you know, had her bags. And Pete's like, wow, she said that was her cousin. So like, oh, something doesn't add up. And we have like the big thing here where they're kind of ruminating about her being gone. And Pete says, yeah, like you say, I loved her. There, I said it. And I think he even says, like, you know, no offense, Harry, as a, like, you know, I loved her too. Stood there and watched her go, watched her assistant carry her bags away. And that's how we get into the assistant cousin stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny, when me watching this, I was kind of like, yeah, I guess we did have a little clue at him having a crush on her way earlier when he asked her to, like, join him on his fishing competition or whatever. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Man, I am just disappointed that Pete saw Josie in this way. Like, her as a decades younger woman who, like, I know that she was not actually like, meaningfully a child to Pete because, you know, Josie is, like, a successful woman in her own right and very much an adult. But still, it felt like their relationship as what it was, as I guess like in-laws or something like that, should have been respected. I had really enjoyed many of their scenes together in the past, and I thought like, oh, this is such a nice little, their intentions are pure, they just like each other and appreciate each other. But to know that there was a romantic aspect to this, like, disappoints me, I guess. Especially, I loved her no offense Harry. I mean,
Yeah.
that is when I realized, like, that there was something that Harry could plausibly take offense to, and not just like, I loved her because she was part of my family. Like, nothing suspect about loving Josie. As you called out a little bit earlier, I loved her is also the thing that was said by Ben about Laura when he's being, like, accused of her murder. I just want there to be such clear lines in the show at this point. Like, it feels like the suggestion of incest once again, right? Even if they're not biologically related.
Yeah, I think it is really interesting to implicate Pete in that, who has really just kind of been the little niceys guy, you know, the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think there's also something there about, like, even if Ben Horne, you know, claimed he loved Laura Palmer, he did fuck all to prevent her death. And he, you know, obviously knew she was in pretty dire straits, and his friend killed her, right? And his fucking lawyer killed her. You know, I think similarly, both of these men, Pete and Harry, frankly, have, like, a pretty good idea that Josie is in a very, like, we honestly don't even know the extent of it yet, but that she's in a very vulnerable situation. She's clearly being taken advantage of, and being, like, has, like, spoken directly to Harry that she's worried about people trying to kill her. And they're just like, okay, bye. And it's not like that they should, like, you know, forcibly stop her, but there is, I think, similarly to Dale's, like, inaction on, like, acting on the experience at the Roadhouse last episode, or his, like, inability to act on Leland. I think that these two are just kind of like, and, you know, they're watching the bird, right? They are, like, experiencing their love for Josie and her leaving as this kind of, like, aesthetic tragedy, and not thinking that it's something that they could intervene in to help her when she seems to really need help.
That's the thing, man. Yeah, I don't know what they could actually do at this point, but I think, I don't know, I feel like alarm bells should have gone off sooner.
And I think reminding us of all this, like, feels so much more ominous. You know, like, shit with Josie seemed grim, but I think, like, bringing that back up to the audience after last episode of the whole ending sequence, where, like, the show has, like, said, like, hi, I can be a really dreadful horror show when I want to, and, like, that feels,
I'm not above killing anybody.
and, like, and not even just killing, but, like, really, there's so much more of a sense of bubbling violence right under the surface, right? And I think that really paints this in a different light. So, like, speaking of, again, so this is right at the end where, you know, we have Coop comes in and says that Gerard has knocked the cop out and has escaped, and so they're going on a little manhunt for him. But as they go out, we get another like type of scene that seems to happen a lot with these two, which is like the cops are at the station and then one of them leaves, and then we see, as we pan, like we're in the lobby and we see Andy and Lucy in the lobby having a scene. And why don't you tell us about this one? It's very short, but
Yeah, okay. So Lucy is watering the plants in the police station lobby, and she's holding her nephew, right? Andy
Mhm.
walks in, sees Lucy back from wherever she was holding a baby, and he faints.
It's so
And that's all that
funny.
happens. I don't think there's even any dialogue in the scene, but he clearly like he doesn't know things. He thinks this is his fucking baby
Uh-huh.
who was just like born while Lucy was away.
Yeah, it's so funny. My only
Oh,
note
it's
is just
great.
I love the fainter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, short and sweet. Andy
Yeah.
scene. So
So
I guess
good.
Pete is he's like, well, the cops just ran out to find Philip Gerard. I guess while I'm here, I'll do the other thing that I wanted to get done at the police station. Which, did you think he just like had this tape recorder with him like in his bag or whatever, and he's talking like he had to go to the truck and get it, you know? But he goes into the cell where Ben is held. I love when he walks in. Ben is kind of like sitting with his hand over his eyes, like peeking through it, like pretending to be asleep, and Pete instantly is like, oh, he's like full of this like goblin like malicious cheer at seeing Ben locked up. And at first I was like, why? We haven't seen you head beef with Ben, but he kind of did, because he starts playing a cassette tape from none other than Catherine. So I guess their like reconciliation that we saw, last episode with their Tajimura kiss is that he's now just like, you know what, Catherine, count me in on your little schemes. I'm on the inside now.
I love that you did adultery. It's so convenient for my schemes.
Well, it kind of feels like he's also like he's being on the inside of the schemes, and that's exciting to him, and also that he's like, oh, now that I know that you fucked my wife, I hate you, but now that my wife is gonna fuck you over about it, I'm delighted that I get to like put the screws on you, you know?
Yeah, totally. He doesn't care at all that the tape is basically saying like, "Ooh, Ben, I loved fucking you."
Yeah. There's the bit here where Pete's like, I have a message for you. Ben says, greeting from the boys down at the mill, and Pete pulls out the tape player, and Ben just goes, but first a little music. It's so funny.
Oh my god.
And yeah, this is like the most wicked we have seen Pete. And frankly, like it's fun to see, but it's also like a little bit kind of evoking Leland in his little manic state, like this is like the
Completely.
most gleefully, wickedly manic that we have seen Pete ever. And so he plays this tape from Catherine. I wrote alert, alert on a couple of these because she's like, oh, the night we spent together lost in love. When was that? It seems so long ago, almost like a dream. Oh, yes, it was the night Laura Palmer died. Oh, memory so unreliable. Finally, maybe it was a dream. Maybe it never happened. To tell you the truth, I can't be sure anymore. Alert, alert. David Lynch character is saying maybe it's a dream. Wow, that's crazy. But also clearly, doing the like, I'm the only person who can testify that you were anywhere in particular on the night of Laura Palmer's murder, and you are going to have to sign over the Ghostwood estates to me for me to even think about doing that. Pete is truly delighted. He loves his schemer. Like this, I think, really elucidates like how their marriage was working at all. Like we've seen a lot of their marriage in the way of him being like, oh, but I do love her. We've seen her try to like come to his level, like way back in season 1 when she was trying to like be like, Pete, don't you remember our days or whatever. But I think this also shows that he's also like, he's like, oh my God, my wife is so epic and evil, and I love when she does schemes,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because I otherwise I don't really know what Pete, like what satisfaction he could be getting out of this.
I think that is it. I think it's also like, Catherine is alive. He thought she was dead, and he's just so excited to be back on the inside with her instead of being like kept out of her schemes. But it's very funny. So yeah,
Sure.
just the last thing here is that like Ben is kind of like losing his shit, being like, she set me up, which we know that she didn't. She's just opportunistic and has, knows that she can put the screws on him. But he kind of fucking starts like throwing his furniture around and ripping apart his pillow and the feathers fly everywhere, which nice of them to give him a down pillow. But, she set me up. I'll get you, you bitch, in a way that, we see the kind of cop peeking in and looking at him, which certainly makes him look like the kind of man who would kill Laura Palmer. But yeah, what was your note?
So you were comparing Pete's like giddiness to Leland in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that as Pete is leaving the room, this like anxious glee that he's feeling just totally goes dark and turns into like a look of like pure hatred that cannot really strictly be explained. Like, I'm trying to understand why Pete would hate Ben. Maybe it's just like a, you fucked my wife thing.
And I guess also tried to kill her.
Does he know that though?
I feel like Catherine might have filled him in,
Oh, sure. Even without having anything to say about that, I just thought it was a very powerful moment and does mirror Leland. It's like sort of a reverse of Leland in
definitely
in his first scene in this episode.
Definitely.
Or not the first scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. When he first walks in, he's like, "How you doing there, Benji?" It's just a screenshot that I saved to send to our mutual friend Benji. So that's fun. Big scene after this one. Kind of the big one of the episode. Definitely the one that it is, named after, the drive with the dead girl. Leland is driving in the convertible and he is just like wildly swerving across the road. He is singing to himself his new ominous, it really reframes his whole like Maisie dotes and dozy dotes and little lambsy divey. Because he's now got a new one. It's chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out in a surrey. When I take you out in the surrey with the fringe on top. The whole, chicks better scurry. It's kind of, pretty obvious.
Yep.
There. I think I just wrote down that I noticed that his license plate was 710. Yep. So he's like sitting down and Cooper is whistling the same tune as he's driving.
What?
Yeah, Cooper is whistling like it's pretty crazy.
He has the evil,
know.
Unfortunately.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the evil has wormed its way into him too. That's what I'm saying.
Shit, that's bad.
And it's also like he kind of has this like weird psychic connection between them materializes in that, they're just driving along and Coop is like, "Harry, are driver education programs mandatory in your school system?" Harry says, "Yep." And right in time, Leland's convertible like careens around a corner and like almost crashes into them. And Coop's like, "Oh, I think we got a dropout." Like Coop didn't see this happening. It's like almost he just kind of could tell that, like setting himself up for the punchline. But again, kind of like this call it intuition, but in a way that I think feels twisted now because it's almost like his kind of intuition is being, I don't know, like redirected to serving Bob in a sense. So, Leland pulls over. There's like truly like the boys like leaving the police car, like Harry and Dale are going up to her. I'm like, Leland, like really, shucks. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know better than to drive crazy.
I would say that they're even like condescending with it. Like they treat him like a smart kid who's made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like they gently try to, it's a good idea to leave your problems at home when you're operating a vehicle.
Yeah.
Because Leland's excuse is like, "Oh, I must have been thinking about Ben."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't ticket him. They don't do anything. He's a good old boy.
Yeah, for real. It is, again, this is how they treated him. Basically, when he killed Jacques Renault. And this is like truly why at that point I was like, wow, this is crazy. Because now when it's happening, it is so much more charged because we know that he's the killer.
We know that he's
and he feeds, oh, by the way, I did remember something about Ben, on the night of Laura's murder. He had an angry phone call and feeds them the most fake ass clue ever. Because he's like, yeah, I think he was talking, he was angry. He was saying something about a dairy. I don't know. And Cooper's like, a diary? And he's like, yeah, it could be. And I'm like, first of all, you would never mishear diary as dairy. It's one letter removed, but they're completely different sounds. And I'm making it seem like I'm not just feeding you the clue, but in a way that makes it like, and I think he is like correctly realizing that Coop loves to feel like a detective and he loves to like do, and again, in the same way that like David Lynch wanted him to be a character who would just do the investigative process to find things out without ever really finding the killer.
Damn.
He is a character who's like, you put a little riddle in front of him and he's just like, fuck yes, I can solve a riddle. And that's like, I think like Bob Leland here is recognizing that if you tell him, yeah, he said something about a dairy, then Coop will be like, hold on, dairy? Do you mean a diary? And then be like, oh, I did it. And not think about any of the other clues.
Or the fact that it is just like so obviously fake.
Yeah, it's obviously nonsense. And then so, he says like, oh, do you like golf? Coop says, I enjoy its precision, which is kind of funny. And like, we really have here this moment of Leland who, could have just gotten out of this. He can't stop playing with fire, where he can't help but be like, do you want to look at my new golf clubs?
God.
And go and like open up the bag with Madeline's body in it. He's kind of like walking up to Coop as he's talking to Harry, like brandishing the club as if he's just going to fucking swing at him, like in broad daylight with all these people watching. Who knows whether or not he actually would have, but he's at least really grasping it in the kind of like baseball batter's stance,
Totally. Well, Leland clearly feels invincible in this episode. He
Yeah.
feels like, oh, I've really gotten away with it, and I'm like, I can do fucking anything at all. No one has really proven him wrong.
I think there is also another read that this is like Bob toying with Leland.
Oh.
I know that I've said that I ultimately am more interested in a read of this in which Leland is like a co-conspirator with Bob,
Yeah.
But for all that, I do think that like there's a compelling read here that like in this instance at least, like Bob is kind of like he feeds off of fear and pain. And I think if Leland wants to cover his tracks, right? Let's see how much I can push him into almost like getting so close to like revealing the dead body literally in his trunk.
Wow.
Just to squeeze the extra little fear and pain juice out of this whole situation,
Oh my God, that's really good.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to play with fire,
Oh shit. You're cooking.
Yeah. Talking about consuming and food, there's this great shot right at the end as he's driving away and he sees Bob in the rear view and it zooms in on his mouth. He's eaten up all
Oh.
that pain and sorrow,
Oh shit.
It's funny, I actually took a screenshot accidentally, but this like crossfades from the mouth to the waterfall in a really fun way. I'm intrigued by your note here of you wrote like forgiveness as evil? Forgivies? Tell me what you have to say about forgivies.
Okay, forgivies. I typed this out in the middle of a conversation we were having as sort of a shorthand to myself. That is a reference to a BoJack Horseman thing where there's just like a Hollywood awards show for like people who've done terrible things who we've decided to forgive this year.
The forgivies is really funny.
Yeah, the full name is the We Forgive You Awards. So I'm just thinking about how I do not think that as a society, US and Canada, I do not think that we are generally too forgiving. However, I do think that there is a certain kind of transgression that we are almost excited to forgive and proud of ourselves for forgiving.
Yeah.
Like a certain kind of, like a fucking, maybe Johnny Depp was a slightly different situation.
Oh, sure.
But Aziz Ansari, for example, or I'm sure it's much more common among white guys. I just can't think of any right now. When there is some sort of awful transgression, most often
Louis C.K., right?
Yeah, Louis C.K., much better example. We kind of put them in timeout for a second, and then we're like, oh, who am I kidding? Come back here, buddy. And nothing ever changes, and it just shows that there are no consequences for these things. So it does feel like their level of like endearment to Leland is just fucking horrible, and he thinks they're morons for it, and he's taking advantage of it. I'm just conflicted as someone who is generally pro forgiveness.
I think it honestly ties into our like Mishfest talk at the beginning of the episode, right? There are a lot of instances in which like interpersonal forgiveness is necessary and important and like part of healing, and that's great. But I think there's also definitely a like complex in the like industrial complex way of like framing people whose intentions and like, political motivation is to do harm, framing that as like redeemable or like, oh, it comes, coming from pain, even if sometimes it's coming just from a like kind of flat political, like, financial incentive in a way to like, keep like justify it and like keep it running. Yeah. I think it is like Dale is someone who I think his big kind of sin in my books is how fast he is to jump to seeing the good and looking away from the bad, you know?
Yeah. I think, maybe my struggle in like picking this apart is I'm reading it a little too literally as being about like policing and criminal justice,
Yeah.
which I don't think either of us would ever say is like the big problem there is that they are too nice.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I think it works better as just a more general commentary.
I do think it is David Lynch in this kind of like, make the Hollywood of it all engages with like policing as like, I want to look at the good side of it and the side of it that makes a good narrative. This is like, I think falls in the read of the show where I don't think David Lynch or Mark Frost would agree with me about this, but I definitely read Twin Peaks as like reflecting on movies and TVs and their relationship with cops and this idea of wanting to believe in this image of police as nice and the like joy of a detective solving a riddle in a way where I think like, someone with my perspective, I watched Twin Peaks and I'm like, yeah, this is an instance of how police and what they're equipped to do are not able to do anything except to meaningfully address the profound horrors of violence within American society. All these people making the show probably think like, that a good cop is a good person. And I think that my read on the show, despite that, is that I think what the show is kind of, despite itself, making the case that a good cop, we talked about this last time, like all these cops do kind of live in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine universe. And I think despite all that, the show is making the case that a good cop at best can't do anything.
Damn.
And is completely unable to entirely like parallel and like never touches the actual source of violence. Obviously, that's the best that it gets. Obviously, cops are the source of violence and are, should not exist in a good world. But yeah, I think that's a big part of my read on this. Yeah. Anyway, Gwen and Andy time?
Gwandy time. Yeah.
Gwandy time tonight, Queen?
Okay. I'll start with like the actual directly plot relevant stuff here. Basically, Lucy and Andy are catching up. Andy's going like, I thought my sperms were gone, but I was wrong. They were there or something. Basically, the point being like, Lucy, I'm the father. To which Lucy has this great, like, sort of ambiguous response. She sighs and goes, oh, brother. Meanwhile, Gwen is just sort of giving her unwanted commentary on everything being said.
That's so funny.
She doesn't like men. She's like, oh, of course, it's all about the sperms for you or whatever.
My note is just Scum Manifesto Gwen over here.
Yeah, they both tell her to shut up. The thing I am curious about is like Lucy's response here. Does she think that the other like weirdly kind of British dude is the father? Did she get the abortion? Because my impression was that she was going to quote unquote visit her family, but actually going to get an abortion. But here she comes back into town with her sister, like who she was allegedly going to go visit.
I think the show is definitely just thrown all this stuff together to do the like soap opera thing of keeping us guessing week to week.
Oh yeah.
My best guess is she did get an abortion and then is like her sister went with her / she's staying with her sister to recover. I guess, but it's doing a lot. My first note, and I don't even know what I wrote this in response to, but I just wrote Andy is pregnant.
What's so true?
I don't even.
Yeah, I can see it.
So true. I love the Andy Lucy hurt comfort fic energy of like he fainted and she's like, oh, trying to nurse him through bonking his head or whatever.
Aww.
I love when he's saying that he thought all his sperms were dead. He says like, I was misinformed. When you told me you were pregnant, I didn't think it could be me because my sperms were all dead supposedly at the time, but they got better. I was misinformed. I'm the father is so funny. Just like I was misinformed is so good. Every time they're on screen together, I love them. And I am just kind of like, give me my little soap opera popcorn.
Yeah. Of all the soapy plots, this is the best for sure.
So from there, I guess we're back to the other part of the police station, which is this is like the big scene that Riley mentioned last time, where this culminates in Harry being like, "Listen, I've backed you every step of the way, but I've had enough of the mumbo jumbo. I've had enough of the dreams, the visions, the dwarfs, the giants, Tibet, and the rest of the hocus pocus. Now he says, he's got hard evidence against Ben Horn, and it's my job to lock him up. And leading up to that is they kind of bring Mike and Philip Gerard, which I guess they've caught him on their manhunt, and bring him in to do the Bob detector test. And he says, "Oh, Bob was very close, but he is not here. Bob is not in these guys." I love like Jerry just being like, "We don't know a Bob. Do we know a Bob?" And I'm sure like part of that is like doing the lawyer like theatrics, but part of it just feels like Jerry genuinely being like, "Hey, do we know a Bob?" But it's also like, what the fuck do you do if your client, who's your brother, is arrested and then they bring in Philip Gerard to like do the Bob scan at him? Like they have no context for any of this,
Oh my God.
But another one here. So at the end, they're like, bring Philip Gerard back into custody and nail the windows shut. And they're not, this is, saying like, make sure he doesn't get out. But it's like, bro, who knows? It could be literal. To be fucking nice to him. Like it is, we talked about it before, but it is truly, they are like just treating him like an object, like someone who should be locked up in the asylum. And they have never suspected him for a second. There is a real there's like the cover of like, oh, he's related, he's like close to the crime, but it really is like they just want to have him around as a tool. I think this is like certainly my read on this is like the ways that Dale is willing to participate in the like system of violence of like American policing and patriarchy, I think is part of why he is blind to how that violence could result in, for instance, Leland killing his daughter,
Yeah.
And the other big note, and this is like the point Riley had made last episode, is that like I've had enough of the dreams and all this does certainly feel like the dream is dead. David Lynch's vision of what he wanted Twin Peaks to be is dead. And now it's a different type of show.
Mm-hmm. And Jerry's like sort of rebuking of Mike. He says, "Clearly this man's stairs don't reach the attic." That's just a great TV line.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Do they arrest him in this scene? Or no?
This is when they officially charge him with the murder, because they're like, you've been holding him for long enough that you need to charge him or let him go.
I'm kind of conflicted on that because, like, on one hand, like, do they actually have solid enough evidence to be doing this? Like, we know that Laura's diary said that Ben Horn was some kind of person. I don't think that's very much. And they also don't seem to have questioned him about all the stuff that Audrey knows, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, Audrey knows that all the One-Eyed Jack stuff and... Oh, I guess they also know that he runs One-Eyed Jacks, but it just feels... I don't know. I'm not going to let this bother me, but it is weird and a mistake that they are arresting him for this specifically.
I agree. Yeah. There's a degree to which the town... like the TV networks, the town also wants to have a killer and to be able to say we got the killer to like resolve the tension within the town,
Yeah, very true.
So moving along from that one, we are now at the dinner that we were promised earlier with Norma, Hank, Ernie, and Vivian. I am obsessed with the opening here where like they're all kind of enjoying their wine and fine meal. And Hank is like, "Oh, this is just right," as he's like gnawing on his meat like a caveman.
He at no point in the scene tries to fit in. It's kind of funny.
No, he's like the only one. He has like a fucking like mug of ale. They all have their like delicate wine glasses. The women go off to the restroom, and Hank, I love he like with his meat juiced hand like gives Ernie a big slap on the shoulder.
God.
And we see him kind of like Ernie kind of wipes his suit off. Oh, and by the way, did you notice Hank, his fucking domino that he kept being horny about back in season 1 is back, but before it was 3-3 and now it's 4. It's a 4-4 domino and it's on his bolo tie.
It's on his bolo tie, which is like so sick. That's like a great little accessory. Yeah, I still... Is that just because... I mean, I feel like we established here that he has some sort of interest in gambling. Is that why the domino?
I think it was more Ernie the gambler. I know the meaning. I forget if the show ever says it explicitly. Okay, so maybe the thing that I saw that was actually just like a fan theory. This is really funny. Sorry. This is a post from 2007 on TwinPeaksGazette.com forums. Says that at the 1999 like fan festival or something, someone asked the actor about the domino, Chris Mulkey. All he could come up with was that 3 stood for magic and double threes was mysticism, and there was a significance to Hank carrying the domino and sending Josie the drawing, and that was all he had to say. Yeah, thanks, Chris.
There was a significance.
It's so funny. I think the thing that I had
man.
seen online, which I guess was just a made-up fan thing, is that it's the amount of people he's killed. Because I guess he... Wait. Did he kill... No, because he didn't kill Leo. But I guess he killed Bernie Renault? So maybe his extra killing has made him bump it up to 4, but who the fuck knows? I just saw that and took that as truth, but... Maybe not. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless he's killed Jean Renault, and that's what was happening. So we don't
Oh
fucking
my
know. But
God.
anyway, he has a 4/4 domino now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
These two talk. This is when we find out that they know each other from prison, and that Ernie was called the Professor, which is fucking so silly.
Ernie the Professor Niles.
You know, basically he's saying he's clean now, which makes me suspect that he maybe was just like writing down his sports bet as like a compulsion, but not actually betting it.
Oh, yeah, I guess he doesn't really have reason to lie to Hank at this moment.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with like Hank saying like, what happens when Vivian finds out that you ran off with the congregation's public fund? And he says, I never stole from a church. It was a savings and loan. But yeah, so I guess he was like on some kind of embezzlement shit, and now,
Yeah.
and it's again kind of unclear about whether he's actually clean now, because it kind of feels like he's like, listen, I'm clean, but then when Hank pushes him, he's like, well, she's got me handling all her investments, in a way that kind of makes it seem like he is
Either scamming her or like is open to the idea.
Yeah. And yeah, we get the big line here from Hank that's like, listen, family is the most important thing in the world to me. One must be willing to pay any price to protect it. Wouldn't you agree? I wrote just like Bob Leland mirror alert a little bit in terms of like this idea of that, you know, this projecting the idea of like, it's important to protect your family, but that just kind of being a cover for this like violence under the surface, you know?
Yeah, very true.
And honestly, my other note is just that Norma looks cunty as hell. I love her little blazer.
Yeah.
I see in your notes, you said like, oh, he's extorting Ernie now. It's honestly not clear to me if he's extorting him or just saying like, my take on it was like, you know things about me. If you were to jeopardize my relationship with Norma, then I'll fucking kill you.
Oh, sure. That would make sense.
Honestly, it could be either.
I do feel like Hank is kind of holding more cards here, just in that like everyone knows that Hank was in prison. Everyone knows that he's done illegal stuff. Ernie seems to have a very cleaned up image right now. So to say one must be willing to pay any price to protect it, it feels like, hey, buddy, you might have to like, at the very least, do me several favors. If not, give me all of your money or I'm going to ruin your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it really could be either. I don't really have much there. Do you want to take us to our Audrey scene?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So Coop is in his hotel room. He's dictating a note to Diane saying, I'm very close to cracking the case, but the last few steps are always the darkest and most difficult. This is him telling us, stick around for next week. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so someone knocks at the door. Cooper is a little afraid because doors have done him dirty recently. So it's Audrey at the door. She comes in and they talk a little bit about like, did you arrest my dad? Yes, we did, but like for several reasons. You know, your whole thing was like a part of it. Audrey has this great line here, which is just like, all I ever really wanted was for him to love me. And Dale says like, I'm sure he does. And first of all, I'm not sure that he does. Second of all, if he does, that's almost worse. Because we know how men love their daughters in this show.
Yeah. And again, Dale just kind of taking this view on it that is irresponsibly skewed towards like positivity and forgiveness, and like
totally
doesn't want to talk with her at all about like the actual darkness there, you know?
No, completely. And Dale is sort of shielding her in like a father figurely way, which of course is not going to serve her. Yeah, it's that weird blurred relationship that they have always had. She gets up on the bed and basically like Subtly, but not at all subtly, says to Dale, you know, like, I was at one-eyed Jacks, but I'm still a virgin.
Yeah. In a way that feels very like, don't worry, Dale, I'm saving myself for you.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
And Dale, like, just interrupts her to be like, I know, which is such a fucking weird thing to say to that. Like, why is it that no, that's not what you respond. The important thing
Yeah.
is not that she's a virgin or isn't.
Yeah.
It's that you should, dude, don't talk about this with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
as she's like climbing up onto the bed, putting herself in like a certain seductive position. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think at this point Dale gets a call and learns that that there's been another killing, right? But
Mhm.
doesn't tell her that. Just goes,
Yeah, he just says go to your room and yeah,
yeah, go to your room, lock the
lock
doors.
the door. Yeah. No questions due, as I say.
Yeah, it's totally a fatherly, go to your room, young lady.
Mhm.
No, don't back talk me, whatever. And she completely complies, which makes me kind of sad, just in that, like, she obviously she has never had a healthy relationship with a father figure, so she will
Mhm.
be totally yielding to anything Dale tells her, and she thinks that this is what it means to have a father-daughter relationship, you know?
Yeah. Before getting into all the Audrey stuff, I was like, damn, he's got the cherry pie, but it's uneaten. He's too preoccupied. Not a star in the sky, and there's no cherry pie. Which, I don't know, maybe you can make a stretch there about him not popping Audrey's cherry here.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think there's maybe something there, but if him, like, you know, and all the kind of eating and consuming as kind of violence and like a lot of sexual violence especially, maybe there's something there. But honestly, this is like yet another in a long string of Audrey scenes where I'm like, I really am not sure about how the show is handling Audrey. And like, again, even last episode we were talking about all the stuff of Audrey being drugged, and like in the context of everything last episode, I was like, oh, that kind of redeems that a bit for me. I just keep going back and forth because like I stan Audrey. She's a queen, you know, she's a diva, like,
Of course.
but also, yeah, it feels like the more than any other character, it feels like she is manipulated, or not any other character. I think, frankly, Josie is treated worse. It feels like the things that she does feel like they're because of what the show wants her to be to the audience, you know, and less like a complete character in a way that like kind of makes sense just on her own accord, you know, like, you know, again, well, we know she's had this crush on Dale. We know this. So like in that sense, it makes sense. But the whole, like, I'm going to climb into your bed and say, don't worry, I'm still a virgin for you. It's like this feel that is there because of how the show wants the audience. Like Audrey is the sexy girl of the show.
Sure.
And it's like really uncomfortable. But then I'm like, okay, is it doing something with this? Because I think like having this segue right into, you know, them finding Madeline's body is something. I think there's something to like connecting her relationship with Cooper and like this uncomfortable space here with that violence. You know, there's like, and I there's a lot of things in the show that I keep kind of reading them and having a faith in the kind of like undercurrent of self-criticism that I think runs through the show.
Yeah.
But I think I feel most uncertain about it with Audrey because I think I don't detect that undercurrent in as clear of a way. And it does kind of feel like, you know, the like, you know, my dad is ashamed of me, climbs into your bed, by the way, I'm a virgin, feels like, I don't know, it feels like the way people talk about like anime fan service, you know?
Oh, okay. I'm not that familiar.
Oh, of just like, you know, popular idea of this is often with like female, like sexualized female characters where, have you seen Evangelion? Because I frankly never did, but I know like Evangelion is a big one for that, where like that show has things to say about Rei and about, is it Misato? Is that beer lady's name?
Yeah.
You know, and about these characters and their like relationships to trauma and being sexualized and like da-da-da-da. And it's also a show that sometimes is like, and here's her boobies.
Yes.
And here's her looking sexy in her little like mech suit, like skin tight mech suit. And there's a degree of that is like often a part of the way people talk about like women characters in like particular in fan servicey anime, that sometimes you'll just have a scene where their boobies are they're breasting boobily, and that's kind of a like, here you go, you fans, you want this, we're getting that out of the way, and that may or may not have anything to do with like actually thinking about them as characters or the rest of the show. Which, to be
Yeah.
honest, is like, people talk about that in anime, but this is also like, I don't know, Euphoria. You know what I mean? This is all over Western TV, right? And I think this is a big example of that, where like it really feels very fraught, where like it feels like sometimes the show wants to develop Audrey and wants her to be a character on her own accord and wants her to have like these, pretty involved connections with all these like symbolic things that it's saying.
Mhm.
And sometimes it wants her to be, the boys at home want Audrey to like climb into bed on her knees and look up with her innocent little eyes and say, "I'm still a virgin for you, daddy," and like that also feels like part of what is going on, and being like, "Oh, my daddy's ashamed of me. Oh, but I'm still a virgin," like it feels very exploitative in that way too. And
Sure.
it's funny, for when we started this, I was like, I'm going to see how I feel about Audrey, because I really don't know. And I still don't, because I keep going back and forth on whether I think that the show knows that it's being exploitative and whether it is doing anything worthwhile with it or not. And I really still can't make up my mind.
Yeah, dude. I think where I'm at is that the show like has a sense of her as a complex character, but is maybe like a little too titillated with considering all the terrible things that would make Audrey the kind of person she is. I'm
Yeah.
really interested in how like other young women relate to Audrey, because I feel like I've seen her as someone who's in so many like Twitter profile pictures or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like she's
Yeah.
someone that people really see themselves in, which I think like
Yeah.
says something.
She is a queen. Like, that's the
mean,
thing.
she
I think it's like,
is.
and I think there's something there about like, I think a lot of women especially have this identification with characters that are like kind of done dirty by the media that they're themselves in,
Who else do you think of there?
It's funny. The first one for me, and this is just saying something about me, is I really felt this way about Caddy in The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. But I don't know. I think, sure. Yeah. Have you read Sound of the Fury?
No, a friend of mine is super into Faulkner, so we've talked about this book a lot, but
I like it on the
Cool.
whole, I would say. But yeah, I think like there's something about a woman character who kind of like doomed by the narrative, in the sense that like she has more to bring to the table than the narrative that she's in is going to allow her space for, that I think really resonates with the feeling of being a woman in a society that is like fundamentally misogynist. You know what I mean? That like you're kind of rattling against the bars of the cage of being a woman at all. And there's a sense of Audrey in a similar thing of, as she's being like penned into this like narrative cage and saying, no, let me out. I want to do more. I want to be a bigger character than this.
Yeah.
And
damn.
also she's a queen. And also sometimes, like, as a woman, you want to say, hello, daddy. It's a real, like, I don't want men to watch that and like it, but I do support women
Yeah.
when it's time to be messy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I support Lana Del Rey until 8 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
This makes me think of I think the only female character in Rashomon. She is also someone who like gets not that much agency in the plot or whatever, and she's definitely like a brutalized woman, but the little moments of her subjectivity that actually feel like authentically how someone in her position would feel, like even just like, I don't know, when I saw it there was just a scene of like her being assaulted that just like really was like, wow, that's what that's like, finding resonance with, yeah, just like little fragments can be something special. I also think of my own obsession with, well, you're very familiar with this because you were in this video, but the two ladies who were in the first like, film of A Kiss. This is my video about Edward Muybridge's like photo experiments. These two anonymous women who a pretty good chance they were like sex workers posing for this like total creep and misogynist's anatomical studies, but in so doing I just wanted so badly to find some of them in that project, to see like what their lives were like. Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I even like the project, and I feel like, yeah, maybe we can love Audrey for what she is and also wish that she was done a little better.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm having a difficult time coming up with concrete examples, but I think there's a lot of, like women in like messy media that are like, I think a lot of like giallo and kind of like there's certain types of horror movies and certainly certain types of like anime, particularly like the kind of, you know, like 90s OVA land where it was kind of like a lot more anything goes, you know, you could put titties right up there, you know, in a way that's like, I think there's a lot of like, oh, this is a character who is like quote unquote bad representation, but I see myself in her, and part of that is the way that she's kind of constrained. Even outside of fiction, I kind of feel like the way like people relate to Marilyn Monroe or like Judy Garland also, in a sense of like knowing that these are like, because part of it is also just like she's a diva, she is fucking serving. Like if you are appreciating a like, you know, really potent glamorous depiction of femininity, like fuck hell, you know, Audrey has fucking got you covered in the same way where that like,
That's
I think
true.
relating to the like idea of the persona of Marilyn Monroe is equal parts like she deserved better, you know, Marilyn Monroe should, and like, you know, I think I have a only loose-eyed sense, but I know Judy Garland also like had a lot of substance problems, and like, you know, this thing of like, you know, this is someone who should have been treated better, but also the fact that she wasn't and was forced into these like kind of you know, exploitative positions is still like, you know, I'm as a woman put into exploitative positions, and if I can like, this isn't, I'm a bit, you know, more butch than this, but like, you know, I think I really can understand the like, I'm seeing in you a femininity that is kind of forced onto you, and it but is also like reclaimed and really intentionally crafted, and like it's a fucking diva, and being like, yeah, I'm relating to both the fact that you shouldn't have to do this and the fact that you're fucking slaying at it, you know?
Yeah, wow. That really resonates with me. I think the Marilyn example is a great one.
Yeah, definitely a lot of her and Audrey. But should we actually finish the episode?
Probably.
So yeah, he gets the call, and then we go and see that they dig up Madeline, or not dig up, but they find her, you know, drifting onto the shore. And I gotta say, it really hits for me. There's something about it being Cheryl Lee again now that really hits for me, and like really, I put the screenshot of the show notes because it's like framed the same way as when they find Laura, and they're. I think it is funny. Like Riley last episode was saying, like, you know, they kind of like were never really sure what to make of Madeline outside of like being like a cipher, you know. And I kind of feel similarly in that even now that this all happened, I'm like, I'm not sure if she ever really felt to me like her own person as opposed to like a reflection of Laura. And like in the way that a lot of David Lynch characters can feel like an idea sometimes, you know. Cheryl Lee performed her as a different person really well, but
yeah, interesting, like sort of contrast with Audrey there. Just like Maddy was like very self-awarely like, hey, you're putting me into this character box in this show, and I'm my own person. And it, like she verbalized it, you know. I feel like everyone just expects me to be Laura, and so it kind of makes sense that she never found her footing beyond that.
That is actually a really good point. But yeah, and so, you know, here we are having, you know, Cheryl Lee with different hair in the exact same dead wrapped in plastic. It really does hit for me as the like, it is happening again, you know?
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you have notes, but we can also just move into our it hits. It hits as the end of the episode. And we can move into, is it crazy dream time?
Yeah, let's move into Lily's Nightmare Corner, which, I mean, at this point, we're just talking about any dreams we've had, so it's more Lily and Sadie's generic dream corner. But buddy, we've been trying to record this episode for weeks, and for weeks I've had to hold this back.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I fucking did it. I gave myself a Twin Peaks dream.
Fuck yeah.
It happened 15 episodes in.
I'm so excited.
And it's a fucking good one, too. It's a brief dream. Not that much happens, but it felt very rich with symbolism. And I've been telling everyone except you about this.
Oh my God.
Okay, here's the dream. It is a conversation between Ben Horne and a new character, a female social worker in her 40s who has, I think, just come to town. It appears to be taking place maybe in the high school, like maybe where they questioned Bobby in the pilot. Otherwise, just like in some administrative office. And all that happens is this social worker woman tells Ben that Laura has decided she will not be pressing charges for her murder.
Oh my God.
And it feels like the music swells in my mind. It felt like the music was swelling. I don't know if there was music, but it seemed like this beautiful moment of like, oh, Laura has chosen to break the cycle. Laura has chosen forgiveness. She has like broken herself out of the cycle of suffering, basically.
Damn.
It's interesting that Ben was the one being told this, because I knew it was Leland at this point. And he didn't strike me as someone, even in the dream, I was like, this guy does not deserve forgiveness, but it's amazing that she's choosing to do it anyway.
Damn. That's a good Twin Peaks. Oh shit. Okay. Continue.
It did the Lynch thing, buddy. It gave me a really striking symbol and then doesn't explain it. The last bit of the stream is just aluminum foil rolled over a table, crinkling.
Whoa. That's fucking sick. I love that.
I fucking loved it too. Like
oh my God.
When I had this dream, it was while I was falling asleep, which is when my dreams tend to be most vivid. And I fully I was like, holy shit. And I willed myself awake to write this down on my phone because I knew I was going to forget.
Wow.
The aluminum foil thing, I just intuitively got it. And before I tell you my interpretation, I would love to hear if you have any thoughts on this dream.
Damn, it was like gestating, but it was that's a banger of a Twin Peaks dream.
Thank you.
Wow, and it has been like almost 9 months. This was our baby. Damn, that's crazy. I mean, please tell me your thoughts.
Let me see. I think I texted myself something. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Yeah, specifically, it is like shiny and crackling aluminum foil. It looks elegant. It looks like silver. It's beautiful, but it's also flimsy and cheap, right? It feels like a second-rate kind of grace or majesty. Yes, wow, how wonderful of Laura, but it can never make things better. This is the best she can do is not hold someone accountable for her murder. And the aluminum foil thing just felt like undercutting and complicating the emotion.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is a banger Twin Peaks dream.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I could not be happier.
I love that. Damn, mine are going to be a lot more silly, but you want to hear about some of my dreams?
Yeah, please.
Okay. And this is actually a dream from like a year ago that I had, but I was reminded of. Did I ever tell you about my Hunter Schafer anti-Israel dream?
No, maybe. I don't think so.
This is like a year ago. I had a dream that Hunter Schafer had become really active on social media about speaking out against the genocide in Gaza and really posting a lot about it. In retaliation, far-right Israeli politicians had got members of the IDF to kidnap Hunter Schafer and forcibly detransition her.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know, right? Give surgery, yeah. That was a dream I had a year ago, which is pretty crazy.
Fucking nuts.
A dream I had in the last week was that I was watching The Godfather. Have you ever seen The Godfather? Because I have not.
No, me neither. Wait,
okay,
you had a dream watching a movie you haven't seen?
Yes, and it opened with an intro of the guy on the cover of The Godfather, who I assume is Don Corleone.
I think so.
He's making a face like this, man. That it was him and another younger guy that were giving an intro to the audience, we hope you enjoy our movie, The Godfather. And I know that the second Godfather movie is called The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
And they were like, we hope you enjoyed our movie, The Godfather, and that at the end we will part ways and you will part 2. As a pun of as I hope we really get to make a sequel. The young
oh my fucking god. That's
the younger guy is hey, yeah, we might not be able to make a sequel. There's another guy who's suing us because we tried to steal his idea. He made a movie called Sonny Corleone's Breakfast, in which Sonny Corleone gets whacked while eating breakfast. I remember them showing a clip of it. That's him getting a painting bashed over his head.
Oh.
And then the dream shifted. And there were two things about this dream that had changed. One, I now wasn't watching the movie. I was sitting at a meeting with these two guys trying to make their sequel. And two, I was a gay alien. A male gay alien. And this evidenced itself because the end of the dream was I meet with these two people, but they're trying to make The Godfather Part 2, and I get up and I walk away and I say to the person who I'm walking with, I said, I know I may have just arrived on this planet, but that guy was really hot. I want to fuck him so bad.
What?
And that was the end of the dream. That was the Godfather X gay alien dream.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god.
I think we both came to the table with bangers this time.
Undoubtedly. Holy
Okay.
shit, that's really, really funny. Let's go.
So, last time we didn't make you predict what would happen next time on Twin Peaks because it was a crazy one. Do you want to predict things that'll happen next time on Twin Peaks?
Yeah. So we're recording this on December 23rd. I
Uh-huh.
can only assume the next episode is the Christmas special.
Of course, yeah.
It's Christmas in March.
Uh-huh. I'm writing Christmas in March in like the same way that the like last of the Star Trek sequel movies just opened with "The Dead Speak." Christmas in March.
That's not a reference I get, but
All right, well,
I'm sure people will appreciate it.
Palpatine has returned to Twin Peaks. Okay, continue.
Yeah. This will be the B plot. I'll predict some serious stuff also.
Uh-huh.
But it's Christmas in March. Dale wants to shop around town to mail Diane a Christmas present.
Aww.
But of course, he is #boycotting Ben Horn's department store. So it's difficult. He ends up freezing and mailing a cherry pie from the diner.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah.
I really like the energy you've brought to this one of just fucking Christmas in March. Okay, what's our A plot?
Yeah, okay. I feel like they have to catch Leland fucking at some point, right?
Uh-huh.
They've just discovered Maddy's body,
Mm-hmm.
and he does not have an alibi for that night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no one else saw her before she quote unquote left.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, right? They've just been playing so nice with him. This is again one of those things where like I think I can justify it. I don't know how sure I am that it's actually going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
After Maddy's body is found, the detectives go to the Palmer household, and much like in the pilot, they just like spend some time sitting on the couch with the family. Basically, they get an inkling that Leland has been drugging Sarah, maybe because they try that bullshit of like sedating her again.
Mm-hmm.
That combined with like his clear like thrill-seeking behavior just like blows his cover.
And also, do remember that living room has a rug on it over the carpet that has just been placed there, presumably to cover bloodstains.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably in there somewhere.
I'm just putting also new rug sus.
Yeah. I want to flesh this out a little bit because I'm not sure what actually happens. I don't think that Leland will go down peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he will just let himself be arrested, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Hey Sadie, when Dale was shot in the season 1 finale, what had he like just been doing? Had he just discovered some big lead or something?
Well, he had gone to the casino and he brought in Leo Johnson.
Oh,
He was complaining about the Icelandic group, or saying no, they've actually either checked or passed out. And he ordered some hot milk from room service and then knock on the door. And then actually he had seen the envelope to him, that my special agent from Audrey, that she slipped under the door, and then knock on the door, and he's been shot before he can open the envelope.
Okay, because I don't think I ever like successfully figured out who it was that shot him, right? I feel like we were kind of increasingly figuring Leland, and I'm just remembering the white gloves. And I'm thinking about Leland's whole like really solidified this season thing of like being into old-timey kind of classy, slightly like what's the word, parlor room stuff.
And we've seen him put on the like plastic glove, like the medical gloves when he went after.
True.
And yeah, and he had, I think, different black gloves on. Like we've seen him with gloves for sure.
Okay, here's my unsteady prediction. They arrest Leland, and Bob lashes out in some huge way that either causes him to bounce into someone else's body or just like physically change Leland in some way that makes him impossible to vanquish, you know? Like maybe they can't arrest him, or he's just like smashes out the window and disappears.
He hulks out.
Yeah.
So you think they know it's him, but he gets away before they can really lock him down?
Yeah, why not?
Alrighty. So, the next time on Twin Peaks, a plot, the detectives go to the Palmer household and sit with the family, to tell them about Madeline's being found dead. Somehow they get an inkling that Leland has been drugging Sarah, maybe because they try to sedate her again. Also, they see the sus new rug. All this combined with Leland's mania drives them to suspect Leland. They arrest him, and Bob lashes out in some huge way that either causes Bob to bounce into someone else or physically change Leland in some way that makes him impossible to vanquish. And B plot, Christmas in March. Dale wants to shop around to mail Diane a Christmas present, but of course he's boycotting Horn's department store, so it is difficult. He ends up freezing and mailing a cherry pie from the diner, and my little added special is that Pete is the Santa, smiley face.
Oh my god, he would be. Oh, I love it. Another banger from TSTV Studios.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Bye.
Bye. TSTV is hosted by Sadie Avery Lake and yours truly, Lily Alexander. Our music is by Jamie Page, show art is by Maya Fernandez-Giles, and this episode was edited by Mary Chan at Organized Sound Productions. If you have any burning questions or comments for us, please send us an email at hello@tstv.show. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.
So, content warnings for Season 2, Episode 9, Arbitrary Law. There are some flashing lights, kind of strobe lights in this episode. If that is something that you need to watch out for, be advised. Otherwise, we have a bit where Mr. Tajimura, that's not great. We have some more Bob being threatening to young women. It doesn't actualize in this, but it sure feels... And we have some pretty intense, a lot of talking about CSA, as we have had certainly just overall in these past couple episodes, and some pretty intense resolution to all that. I guess I won't say more about it in order to spoil it, but we're not in Lonely Souls land of horrifyingness, but it keeps being spooky and threatening and difficult. So that's what I have to say about Arbitrary Law. I hope you enjoy the episode.